Hey guys, welcome into Cancel This. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Valentine's Day.
What? You celebrate Valentine's Day, Tabitha?
You don't even have any red on.
February 14th. Bah humbug. Is that what it's called?
I bet Eric's going to come in red.
I don't have red. Oh, Eric wears black.
Every day.
I have black, blue, and white. That's what I wear. So there's a little maroon. Pop that in there. I don't have red. Happy Valentine's Day. You do look good in red. That might be your color, Tabitha.
Well, thank you.
You wear too much black.
Well, I have to wear black for work.
Oh, that's right.
So if I'm leaving here and going to work, I have to have black on.
Hey, it's a big show. It's cancelthisshow.com. Thanks for jumping in as you do every day. We continue to grow by leaps and bounds every day, not only in the St. Louis area, but across the country. I hear we're pretty big in Chicago, Tabitha.
I hear that too, which makes sense. I'm from Chicago. You're used to work in Detroit.
Yeah,
our people are there.
And Detroit, so that's good. Hey, Angie says, good afternoon from across the pond.
Good afternoon, Angie.
We got a lot of stories to get into today, so I'm happy to start the show off. One of our show new sponsors, Dr. Mahesh Bagway, is going to be joining us here in just a couple moments. We've also got a lot of news, too, that isn't so good today. We've got politics, a terrible shooting at Michigan State University. Have they even found? I don't even know if
they did, yes.
Okay. Alive?
No.
Okay. Usually that's what happens. We'll get into that as well. And then coming up at 9 o'clock today, oh, brother, we've got St. Louis rapper, T-Dubbo, and T-Dub-O is how you say it, T-Dubbo. I'm trying to say it the correct way. When he comes in, he'll let us know how it is. If you haven't seen him yet, check out his videos. Check out what he's about. That's what this show's all about, having the conversations that you can't have everywhere all the time. He's got an issue with police. He's got an issue with community policing. He's got an issue with communities outside of his own telling them how to run his police. Says not big into police, not big into government.
But we're letting him in our studio.
That's right, we are, because that's what we do. You got to have these conversations, Tabitha.
He's a I don't know if he's a gang member, but he is definitely a rapper.
Why don't you ask him?
I absolutely intend to.
Yeah, and I listened to some of his stuff. He's talented. He's super talented. So we'll get him in today.
Has he shot at police before?
I don't know.
I'll have to ask him.
You'll have a chance, but he's coming in studio today to talk about that as well. Hey, but that's what we do, right? That's what the show's about. That's what we've always tried to have, the conversations so that everybody gets a chance to know what they're like. You didn't grow up in a hood like he did.
Of course I didn't. But at the same time, I'm hoping that he is not a gang member. I'm hoping he's not. I know he doesn't like police, but I'm hoping it's not to the extent, because I think at some point you have to draw the line in who we interview. If
well, you saw the list of things that we're going to talk about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about it all.
And we're going to ask all of those questions.
Can't wait for that. It is really, it's can't miss a show coming up at 9 o'clock. We'll jump into that as well. Scotty Gherkin on the boards, making everything look great as always. Eric Johnson on his way in. Tabitha Hassel's here. I'm Vic Faust. And we welcome in a friend of ours. He is also a new advertiser to the show. I'm telling you what, if you're looking to take care of your body, if you're a kid, if you're an adult, if you have some sort of orthopedic issue, you're going to go to this man, Dr. Mahesh Bagway, in studio. Doc, good to see you, my friend.
How you doing, Vic?
And here's the reason why I can say what I say and know what I do. I took my daughter to Dr. Bagway a few years ago, and she got better like boom. Now, everything doesn't happen quickly. We know that, but she did. I've worked with you. You're terrific. You made her feel very comfortable, and I guess that's what you do. So welcome into the Cancel This Studios for the first time.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
I think you're a natural for TV.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask him what political office he's going to run for, because I think he would make a great politician.
You do have that political lick to you. He's not running. He could get the vote, but he's not. He's doing too well as an orthopedic surgeon.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Politics, I don't think is my thing.
Yeah. Hey, tell us about yourself, your practice, and for people who don't know about you.
I'm from St. Louis. I grew up here in West County, and then went to Wash U and SLU and played football at Wash U, and kind of banged up my knee and had orthopedic surgery by sports ortho doc. And I kind of realized, wow, I could put together my interest in sports and my desire to be a doctor put them all together. And it took, 20, 25 years. And
Oh, is that it?
yeah. And eventually I was one of the team doctors for the Cardinals for a few years. And so it kind of came full circle. It took a while, but it's been amazing. I enjoy what I do. And I think most orthopedic surgeons do as well. Basically, we take care of people with bone and joint injuries, whether it's ankles, knees, young people, older people, put them back together, and if we need to, and get them back going. And one of the things I enjoy is I try to avoid surgery if possible. I try to figure out if surgery is usually the last option. So find out, is this a natural problem? Is this a temporary injury? I think your daughter's was not something that needed surgery.
No, it wasn't.
But I've operated on friends' kids, which is a strange thing. The first time you do that, and you see one of your buddies, and and then you're doing surgery and making an incision on their little girl or their little boy, but if it's what needs to be done to get them back, that's great. And then they send me pictures of them playing basketball again and playing hockey and how great they're doing. And I'm not sure what's more gratifying than that, than taking an injured young person who they don't know where to go or what to do and fixing them, and then now they're back playing sports and having a good life.
I remember talking to a family member about what doctor did for my daughter. And then we were out for dinner, and somebody was talking about I wish I could, because I know the family, because they came and saw you. I was like, oh, you got to go see Dr. Mash. Oh, we already did. We saw him. And I was like, go figure. The word's out. People know to go to doctor.
I was just going to say that because we have a lot of mutual friends, but everywhere I go, I always run into somebody who has been to you for some type of orthopedic. Somebody I know, and again, I can't remember who it was. I believe you did a foot reconstruction or something on someone that was injured. Yeah, and is that your specialty?
I do basically everything in the foot and ankle.
Yeah.
So I did a fellowship in ankle surgery after orthopedic residency. So orthopedics in residency, you do everything. You do spine, shoulder, hand, elbow, knees, wrist, and then most of the time people specialize an extra year or two in another field. So I did ankles. But over the years, so many people with ankle problems have knee problems. So really, I'd probably do 60% ankles and 40% knees,
because they connect to one another.
They're kind of connected.
I guess it makes
like 100%. The song goes.
Yeah, talking with Dr. Mahesh Bagwe. How can people find you? Where can people come and visit you? Or what's the best way for people to contact you? First of all, to come see you, and where will they find you?
The best way to see me is drbagwe.com. That's DRBAGWE.com. Right now, I have offices in Chesterfield, office in Cape Girardeau, and either location, it works the same. We have x-ray available. We have all our equipment there to evaluate people, and we know the local physical therapist in both regions to pick out the best treatment options. And it's interesting in orthopedics, and at least in this town, in some places people just kind of go where their insurance company or their primary tells them. But in St. Louis, it's people go where they hear from their friends is the best place. So people like me who don't work for a big hospital system can still do great because just a word of mouth. And that's
how it should be.
That's how it should be.
Your work speaks for itself.
But here, that's different than other cities where people go where they're told to go. Whereas in this town, people still go where they hear from their friends and neighbors are the best place to go.
And I prefer to, if I were going to have something like this done, if I needed an orthopedic surgeon, or I would prefer to go to someone who's not tied to a hospital. Mm-hmm. I feel like you have more freedom, more options. I feel like I'm going to get better care. As crazy as that might sound to some people, that's what I prefer. And it's typically what I seek out for myself.
So it's kind of interesting also that when you work in a hospital system, you're kind of tracked on who you refer to. Mm-hmm. So let's say you go see somebody in a hospital system, they not have to, but they kind of need to refer you to other doctors in their same system. Whereas I just pick out the best people that I know in the whole city. If you come to me, Vic, and you said, hey, my wrist is killing me, and I don't really do wrist anymore, but I know who I would go to for a wrist in this town, and it's maybe not even in my group. It might be in another group. I would then send you to that person.
Honesty speaks a lot, especially in this town. That's for sure. We're talking with Dr. Mahesh Bagwe. That's drbagwe.com. Dr. Dr. Bagwe, BAGWE. drbagwe.com. If you have any questions for Doc while we have him in regarding your foot, your ankle, whatever extremities you have going on, just let us know from that standpoint. People already know you on our chat line. Cape Girardeau, I knew your name. Somebody else, basic. If somebody's suffering with feet or ankle issues right now, what would you tell them to do?
Come in, let me take a look. At least I could at least start figuring out what's going on and get them to the right person if it's not me. Because sometimes it's a dermatologic condition. They have a skin infection, fungus infection, things that aren't my field. A lot of times it is my field. Bone problem, joint problem, or they had surgery as a kid for clubfoot or something when they were a child and they're not sure what happened. And I could just look at the incisions and figure out what procedures they had. So usually you have to do this for 20 years. I could figure out pretty quick what they need done.
I would imagine, it's a huge accomplishment that you worked with the Cardinals. That's in what that tells me about you is that you probably know a lot of tips and tricks and medical knowledge about healing quickly. Because I know when it comes to sports teams, their goal is to get their person in, get the right care as quickly as possible, get it done correctly, and get them back out on the field.
Yeah, with those professional athletes, it's not just baseball players. Number one, these are the best athletes out there, so their bodies heal faster. So the time frames of healing might be changed a little bit. They might only take 4 weeks to heal a broken bone, and regular person takes 6. They also have at their disposal everything available in the world to try to get things to heal. There's lots of things that are not really covered by insurance companies that things like pro athletes and baseball teams and football teams can still get. So you have to kind of open your mind up to these other options and become used to it. For instance, stem cells, PRP, things like that. You have to learn how to use all those things to help get those level of athletes back on the field.
Damn, that's so much.
Well, it is. And I know a professional athlete. He had to have a rotator cuff surgery. And to get him healed as quickly as they could, I know his orthopedic surgeon gave him, all these different ideas of things to take, different types of protein, it was some kind of a turmeric ginger mixture he had to drink. Are those things like that you recommend to people that come into you for faster healing?
Most of the time I tell people, as long as there's no major negatives and it doesn't conflict with their regular medications, I don't have a problem with it. But it's hard to, as a medical doctor, prescribe some of those things because they're not formally indicated.
Yes.
Okay. So I stick to what I do, and that's surgery, and who needs surgery and who doesn't. Those other things like the supplements, I do leave that to their sports trainers, their primary care doctors. In general, though, as long as they're not spending a huge amount of money, if it's not going to harm them, I don't mind them trying it. I wouldn't be the one to prescribe it or be the major advocate of it.
No, it totally makes sense. Talking with Dr. Mahesh Bagwe. You can catch him at drbagwe.com, drbagwe.com, DRBAGWE. You're listening to canceltheshow.com. Canceltheshow.com. Continue to share the show, like on all the platforms, and let people know what we have going on. Dr. Bagwe, I had Kevin who messaged me and said, my son, my mom, and my brother have all been to see Mahesh. In fact, my mom had knee surgery yesterday with someone who Mahesh recommended, going back to what you were saying. His center, he is the best person that he knew for the surgery. So people are already recommending and backing what you say from that standpoint. And then we have Kathy from our text line going, hey, what's the best thing to do right now for arthritic knees?
No kidding. That's probably such a big question.
For arthritic knees, so it is worth getting it looked at because, for instance, what people sometimes think is arthritis might be like a meniscus tear, and their knee just keeps hurting. Well, that's not because they have arthritis, maybe some of it, but some of it's because there's a loose thing floating around that's making them miserable. So an orthopedic surgeon can usually tell, hey, maybe we need an MRI. Let's make sure you don't have a big torn piece flapping in the breeze in your knee, and that's what's making you miserable. Because if it is, that's a 20-minute arthroscopy, pain's gone. Okay, now it could be arthritis. If it is, the things like weight loss, non-impact activity. So people with arthritic knees, they want to walk 10 miles a day. Well, you know what? Maybe you should alternate that with cycling or elliptical. So low impact activities. Those are the things I would kind of recommend if I rule out that there's nothing mechanically wrong with their knee.
What about situations when it comes to insurance in this day and age? Can people get care and the kind of care that you provide under basic insurance? How does that work?
Yes, we take most insurances and pretty much everything is still covered. I would say it's more yes than no. Now, occasionally we'll get, if somebody needs an MRI, their insurance will say you have to get 4 weeks of therapy first. And I'll kind of argue with them and be like, hey, they don't really need therapy. This is kind of an obvious surgical problem. And I need an MRI to tell me exactly what's going on inside. So it's a delay, but usually it's not, they can't get care. It might be an extra hoop to jump through here and there.
And I'm glad you asked that because that can be really confusing for people because you never know, when you're looking for a specialist, some insurances require you to get a referral from your primary care. Some specialists require a referral. Some specialists don't require a referral.
Mhm.
Can people just call your office if they're just not sure what to do?
Yes, they can call up, depending on their health plan. We can usually, when we call back, go through what insurance they have, we could get them in.
You love this still, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I
After
love
all
doing
these
surgery.
over 2 decades in the business, I see you light up when you start talking about seeing people and praying that they don't need surgery, but if they do, making sure they get the best care they can.
Yes, I love doing surgery. I love being in the operating room. I love seeing people get better. Like with any job, though, the bureaucracy and the paperwork is the most painful part, and
Yeah.
the forms and the regulations to keep a license and to be fully board certified and all the things that go with it. That's not fun in any field. But as far as doing surgery, I love doing surgery and fixing people. And it's interesting you brought up that whole family. When I first started doing surgery, it really gave me a kick when patients would come in and say, "Are you related to Dr. Lotta Bogway?" That was my mom. She was an OB in St. Louis for 30 years. Or Dr. Runja Bogway. That's my dad. He was a cardiologist in St. Charles. And that would be the highlight of my day. Now that doesn't happen so much, but now what I get is, "Oh, you took care of my dad. You took
Mhm.
care of my uncle." And so now that I've done this for 20 years, it's starting to get families, or I get the kids of people I operated on
You're getting
15 years
old.
ago. That's another way of saying it.
Aren't we all?
I'm feeling it.
So, I guess that's, an indirect part of the job that just makes you feel great, as you said.
Yes. As time goes by and people enjoy your care, and somebody hasn't seen me for 10 years and they come back and they got something else going on, and they want to make sure I give my opinion of what they need. And I enjoy that.
Is it easy for people to get in? And once again, fortunately, I haven't had to deal with any ankles, haven't had to deal with any feet with myself or my kids yet. But in other areas, when I call certain places, certain facilities, oh, it may be like 2 or 3 weeks before we can get you in, or because it just seems like that can be the situation. Is that a reality that people are going to have to deal with, or can you get people in quicker?
No, for our office, usually it's in a week or two.
That's
Okay.
really good.
Yeah, usually within a week or two for everybody.
Because that's a big frustration point, I think, for so many people is they need something done now, and you call a specialist office, and it's like, oh, 3 months from now.
Mhm.
But that's amazing. A week is absolutely fantastic.
And if we happen to not be busy that day, we'll come in today.
That's even better.
If we get a call in the morning and we realize that there's 2 cancellations that afternoon, people just okay, we'll see them right now. Let's put them in.
What's the most common surgery you're seeing right now? Is there a
For
most
me,
common?
the most common would be knee and ankle arthroscopy. When you're just putting the camera in and there's something loose, there's something small broken, you clean it up. And the nice thing is people are up walking the same day. That's still the most common. Knee and ankle arthroscopy is the most common surgery.
Wow, that is fascinating. The how fast technology has changed things, and I'm sure your business is always changing when it comes to the technology that you can use. But I guess we still have the same bodies from the beginning of time, and I guess they've got to have time to heal.
Well, sometimes I tell people to try to wait it out because the technology is changing fast. And so certain arthritic conditions, maybe in 15 years, we'll be able to, instead of replacing whole joints, put a new coating on a joint. There's different things. And, they're trying it, but there's nothing perfect right now. There's nothing perfect. There's no major breakthroughs, I would say, right now for joint preservation. Not at this point.
Before we let you go, Michelle from the comments line said, "Hey, just want to let Doc know how much we appreciate how honest he is." And that's you when people
Oh,
talk to you.
thanks.
I mean, you're not somebody who's going to come in and lie to their face and say, "Oh yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that." So a compliment for Dr. Bogway.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I would like to talk to you, but I feel like you would send me a bill. I have so many problems with my shoulder. It's unbelievable, but it's encouraging to know that I don't have to rip my shoulder out eventually. I can just kind of wait for the technology to. Well, is it like a shot that you'll eventually be able to get that will cure arthritis and cure all these ailments for the joints?
No, I mean, arthritis is a spectrum. It's that the joint has slowly worn away and it's not smooth anymore.
Yeah.
So by the time people have bad arthritis, the muscles around the joint, the ligaments, they've all been affected. You can't just make it young again.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Damn.
Sorry.
Damn.
But for some of those athletes, they become bionic to a certain extent, don't they?
When you start replacing parts.
Yeah.
So for instance, you do a partial knee. I mean, most athletes, once you start replacing parts of a joint, their career's over. Bo Jackson tried to come back after a total hip. They told him it wouldn't work, and guess what? It didn't work. It fell apart.
But
It
Eddie
felt
Van
really
Halen,
good.
Eddie Van Halen had a full hip replacement surgery, and he did pretty good until cancer got him.
Yeah. Artificial hips and knees, people can walk around, have a regular life. But playing sports, they're not meant for that.
Yeah, that's true. It's a different level. Hey, anything else you want to let our viewers on the podcast and our listeners on the podcast know before we let you go?
I would say let your friends and everybody know about this show, to let everybody know about Cancel This radio show. And guys like me will keep coming on and trying to contribute and answer questions for you.
Well, we appreciate you jumping in, being so honest. Once again, drbagway.com, drbagway.com, DRBAGWE, DRBAGWE, drbagway.com. I love that. What a site.
Do you have a phone number? Somebody on the comment lines asking for a phone number.
Is there a good phone number that people can contact
Actually, I think
you
it's on that website too.
And it's on the website. And if you contact them, let them know that you heard about Dr. Bagway from canceltheshow.com, that you heard the interview with them. If you pass the information on to somebody else, let them know so that they get an idea too, that they're finding out about what Dr. Bagway is, what he can do for you, and how we can help you from this show, canceltheshow.com. Did you enjoy this?
That was great.
Yeah, you're good. You should be on here.
I was just going to say, when he retires someday, we're going to come after you to be a politician.
Oh.
We need.
You scared him off set.
We need honest politicians, just like we need honest doctors.
Dr. Mahesh Bagway, thank you so much,
you,
Doc. We appreciate it. Glad to have him in. What a great interview.
Such a nice man.
Would it have been too forward for me to say, I need shoulder surgery?
Well, he doesn't do shoulders.
He doesn't?
But he would
recommend you to
recommend,
someone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He just said that he would recommend for anybody that did anything like that. And I'm not just saying it because he's in and jumping in with the show. I took my daughter to him and she did everything that he said, and she didn't need surgery. She was able to strengthen everything she needed to do by the advice that he gave. So share the show once again.
More than that, he's just a fantastic person in general. Outside of being a doctor, he's just a really nice, good person.
If you guys with Platinum Rock Legends or Scotty with Modern Day Zero need a backup drummer, he can drum too.
No way, really?
Oh, he is a drummer.
I had no idea.
Isn't that perfect timing? We have a fill-in drummer this week.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Hey, get Doc back in here. Get him back in here. We got to set up his audition.
That's fantastic.
And he might like drumming. Is that the proper way to say it? Drumming?
Drummist.
He might like drumming as much as he likes performing surgery.
Okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, we don't audition. We just say, if someone says they can do the job, we're like, fine, we'll see you then.
Yeah. Just show up. Please be there.
We just do
Stay
not
on
care.
beat.
It's an hour and a half of don't screw up.
I'm glad he was able to come in because, I'm not kidding you. I have been through the gamut with doctors at different times and specialists, and your primary care doctor, they send out referrals and then no one gets back to them. And then you finally get a hold of a specialist. They say, oh, it'll be 3 months, 6 months before you can get in. Eric, you missed this, but he said he can get people in a week.
Okay.
Sometimes the same day.
Yeah. I heard your question
That's
on
unbelievable.
the turmeric.
Turmeric.
How you say it?
Turmeric. I call it turmeric.
Turmeric.
I don't know how other people say it.
That's an interesting question because I have actually, a doctor's not going to prescribe that, but I know a lot of people that have actually had good success with turmeric.
Well, yeah, I was out in Palm Beach with some friends, and I just had randomly met this orthopedic doctor there, but now he did shoulders, not knees, ankles. And it just happened to be that the person I was seeing at the time needed rotator cuff surgery. Yeah. And I got all of this information from this guy. And he was like, because he was a professional athlete. He's like, one of the best ways to heal is to up your protein, cut out sugar, cut out carbs, eat seeds, a lot of seeds.
Yes.
That
I can't remember.
sounds like fun.
Berries.
She's right.
And then,
she's right.
And then there was,
I swear to God, she is.
Sugar is huge.
Sugar is so bad for inflammation, and they say that it
it's just
slows
bad for
healing.
you in general, in every aspect.
Yeah,
it
it's
really,
not good for you.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right.
But it's damn good. I'm not saying.
No, there's nothing wrong with sugar, especially on Valentine's Day.
Sugar is an addiction, no question.
Today sucks. For
Everybody
sugar,
likes
but-
Everybody likes a little sugar. Come on, give me some sugar.
Yeah.
Hey, this is cancelthisshow.com. You won't want to miss it coming up at 9:00 as well. Share the show. Let people know. We're going to debate. We're going to talk about some serious issues in the city. We're going to talk about gun control. We'll talk about policing with St. Louis rapper T Dubbo. Super talented dude. You may or may not agree with some of the things that he said, but we're going to treat him with respect. He's going to treat us with respect, and we're going to have a good conversation. It's going to come up at 9:00. So keep in mind, That's a conversation you just don't find everywhere.
Well, keep in mind, as he's talking, last night, St. Louis County chased a guy that was in an Escalade that shot a guy at a Quick Trip in the chest. And the only reason they caught him is because they continue to, they're starting to chase these guys again. And that's good. So as he's talking about defunding police and getting rid of guns and this, that, and the other, and alternative methods to policing, just keep in mind the reality on the ground.
And we're going to talk about that coming up at 9 o'clock. We've got a lot of things happening today. We're going to bust as much of this out as we can. Okay, no surprise. What's up with South Carolina producing presidential hopefuls? Tim Scott,
yes.
Nikki Haley, both announcing. Now, she had already run.
Nikki Haley announced like 3 weeks ago, but nobody paid attention. So I guess they thought they should announce again.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Scott has announced he is running for president.
And we saw that one coming.
In 2024.
And I
love
like him.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And once again, if you're running for president, guys, and we pretty much know, well, I shouldn't say we know. At this point in time, neither one have a legitimate shot, right?
Wait a minute.
Okay,
Hold
Hold
on.
There's a lot of hold-ons there.
I would say that Nikki Haley is kind of the Kamala Harris of the Republican Party. She's way down there, kind of respected. She did some good stuff. She slammed Trump like a bitch.
She did.
She sure did.
She's the establishment person in the
her
race.
and Tim Scott were on stages together. Tim Scott's a fantastic candidate. He is a fantastic
But
candidate.
he hasn't ripped President Trump
Well,
yet.
think about this.
No.
Go back to The Edge 2 years ago.
Okay.
And when you guys asked me who I thought would make a good team in 2024, I said President Trump and Tim Scott.
I agreed.
I don't know if you remember that.
Yep, I do.
And
I agree
I've
with you.
always thought those two would make a big team. And the way I see this playing out is that we already know Trump is running. We know DeSantis is not, so we can take him out of the equation.
Is he not?
He's always said he's not in 2024.
Come on.
I don't know about that.
I don't think he will. And so I could see this narrowing down because there's no way Nikki Haley's going to get anywhere unless someone cheats.
I think Nikki
which
Haley's
could
great
happen.
on any cabinet. She is fantastic.
She's an intelligent
She's
person.
very,
She would be
very smart. She
fantastic.
comes across very intelligent.
But she is also part of the
too
problem.
boring. Pompeo's too boring. Nikki Haley, she doesn't have the oomph, the gusto. Scott is perfectly placed to go against anything racial, and he's fantastic
He is
as far as a
going to
conservative.
be the VP. Just watch.
Maybe he will be. Maybe he will. I've always thought that these flamethrower Republicans are the ones that get all the attention. And I'm going to retract something right now, and I hope you flag the tape. If Trump, watch me now, cannot be a bombastic bomb thrower and get in there and debate on the merits, and he's a very good politician, I would support Trump again. But he would have to come out and show the press and the people, I've changed. I've turned over a new leaf. Look, I'm the decorum of the presidency means a lot to me. I get it. And then he was even apologetic for some of the stuff that maybe he did. But the guy he was a great president. He just was.
Of
I mean,
course
it's
he was.
quantifiable what the guy did. And I know that the other day I said I would go DeSantis over Trump. If DeSantis isn't running, Trump should blow out the field like a big vacuum cleaner.
He's not running. I think he has skeletons in the closet. I'm not sure if he will ever run. I don't think Trump would be coming out with these claims against DeSantis if he didn't have something to back them up. I really don't.
Yeah, but don't you think that's a bad look either
It is
way?
a very bad look. I wish Trump didn't do it. I think it's probably lost some supporters of his because I'll tell you what, people love DeSantis. They love DeSantis, and him coming after DeSantis does hurt him.
Who doesn't have skeletons in the closet?
I
mean,
agree.
you didn't grow up as a teenager. Go, hey, I'm going to run a state one day,
Let me
or
tell
I'm going to
yeah.
be a president.
You know what? You're right. Scotty's right.
The only thing I could think of is if it happened while you were actually in
Right.
office.
Yeah.
or
Oh,
something.
absolutely. Well, then you're an idiot.
But the only thing that Trump has shown so far is a picture of him with high school girls and alcohol, calling him a groomer.
So Mitt Romney went through the same thing. He had an issue that had nothing to do with the running for president. He put a dog on the top of his car. And a lot of women and a lot of people who love animals could not forgive Mitt Romney for that. A lot of them. And they talk about it to this damn
you see
day.
how wonderful he is.
I was going to say.
No, I'm talking
we
about.
should have known from them. Dog
the
abuser, moron.
I'm talking about when he was running against Obama. And and he also had that behind the closed doors video that kind of skunked him. And I'm offended that Trump doesn't see the forest through the trees a little bit. even if you win presidency, you have to now go back and get this DeSantis guy elected to come behind you. He's the future of the Republican Party.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that because think about this. Think about this. If Trump, obviously Trump is running in 2024, he will eliminate Tim Scott, and then Tim Scott will become the VP. Then in 2028, Tim Scott could run for president. And I'll tell you what, he would be the true first black vice president, and he would be the true first black president if he were to win.
Yeah, but people in
what
this
do you mean
country,
by true?
Well, because Obama is biracial, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
But he's not the first black president. He's the first biracial president.
Here's the deal.
Same with Harris.
Here's the deal. We got to get over this. We have now put too many people in high places because of affirmative action of sorts. We put a incompetent person in the vice president's office right now who should be dealing with a lot of things, actually. She has been tasked to take care of our border. And she has basically...
But what do you mean
I don't think she's incompetent. I just think they won't allow her to do anything because they don't want her to do anything. They just want her to... They needed her as... they needed a black woman as VP. That's what they needed her for. Her job is to sit down and shut up. Sit in your office and send out some emails and just look black.
But you're not going to...
And look like a woman.
You're not going to call her a true...
She's
black
not.
Vice
Well,
president
she's
either,
biracial. There's nothing wrong
biracial.
with being biracial.
No,
but she's
there's
not.
There's
but
not.
but you can't say she's the first black vice president because she's not.
The Democrats,
maybe the first person of color.
The Democrats are notorious for putting these checks on the board next to, oh look, black president check. Oh look, vice president, female vice president, glass senior blood. Okay, check. They are notorious for putting people in there that literally have no business being in these places.
But see, Tim
just
Scott,
because of race.
Exactly. But see, that's where we break the boundary with Tim Scott. I think it has nothing to do with the color of his skin. He's a fantastic politician.
Yeah, there are certain
He's
people
a great
that transcend. Here, you know what is fantastic? Is there certain people that transcend their skin color. Tim Scott's one of them. Colin Powell was one of them. Condoleezza Rice was one of them. They literally are so smart. You don't look at them as a gender or as a race. You look at them as you listen to them and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much damn sense.
Well, maybe
Kamala can't put a freaking sentence together.
Well, she can. They won't let her.
She's not good in front of a camera. I think she's better with behind the scenes, maybe where she's not on TV. But
she was the attorney general. She's an intelligent
Tabitha.
person.
She's intelligent, but she's not good on a podium.
No.
Tabitha, she's not intelligent because intelligent people can string words together that mean something. They know how to formulate a thesis sentence.
When she was attorney general,
they know how to
she did.
I figured this out.
I've seen many speeches of hers.
What did they give her? They give her stupid pills.
No, I figured it out. Tabitha, in my opinion, you are right. She is very intelligent. Eric, I think you're right. She can't put sentences together. You know why? Because she's trying to formulate all the lies that she's being told.
No, come on.
Dude, Eric, she's like, she's getting asked direct questions and she's like, oh crap, I know the right answer. I can't say the right answer. How the hell do I get out of this? Just like the White House press secretary. She's the worst ever, partly because she's got to come up with answers that she's trying not to lie about.
Is she stupid too?
Oh,
Is she stupid?
I'm not saying that.
Then why do they have the guy? I can't remember his name.
I'm just saying that she's the worst when it comes to information, giving answers, because you never know what you're getting. You're like, what? And maybe it's because the bar was set so high before the Biden administration came in with Kayleigh McEnany, because she was so awesome, the best ever, because she was prepared and she was giving direct answers, whether the media wanted to hear it or not.
And because she didn't have to lie.
Bingo.
Because the
That's
truth
my
was
point.
already there. She did not have to lie. She didn't have to go through a little playbook and decide who she could and couldn't take questions from. She didn't have to have all these lies in her head.
Well, maybe
and try to come out with the truth.
Maybe it's not that they're stupid.
They're not
maybe
stupid.
It's not that they're stupid.
No, they're not.
You
but
don't
check it
get
out.
that far in life being stupid.
You do in the liberal circles. Yes, you do.
No.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of intelligent
Tabitha.
liberal people.
I'm not gonna. I don't want to say it because I want to get fired from the people I work with. But I work in the liberal space corporate wise a lot. Okay. I walk into a lot of liberal clients' offices. These people are not the smartest people on the planet. They know how to maybe run a business, but as far as if you were to talk, and I'm very interested to see what this guy says coming in here today. If you were to talk to them and get them to square up crime with more policing or crime with,
I didn't say they have common sense.
That's what, that's the point.
But I think that
that's the point. It's critical
just see
thinking.
things different
Critical
than we
thinking.
do.
Critical thinking. That's what I mean. If I talk to the press secretary at the White House and I go, crime is rampant in this country, what are you going to do about it? And then they start talking about social issues. No. You're not hearing me. What are you going to do about people getting shot in St. Louis, Missouri last night? Can you answer that question? Hey, can you do me a favor? Answer the damn question. Why do we have balloons flying over the United States right now? You should be able to formulate some kind of a thought process of why that's going on.
Well, we're not going to have to worry about with Tim Scott. You know, I have no problem, quite honestly, with electing someone because they are Black, because quite honestly, it's okay to have somebody represent a very large portion of our country. I don't have an issue with that, but they have to be the right person. They have to be in that position because they belong in that
Tim
position,
Scott comes across
not
as,
just because of their
Tim
skin
Scott
color.
that's what I'm talking about. Tim Scott comes across as, I don't care if I'm purple. I got some really good conservative ideas over here.
He backed Trump all the way.
And then he starts talking and you're like, oh my God, your conservative ideas are great. That's the beauty of people who are actually competent, is that you don't, is the transition from skin color to, I don't give a damn what your skin color is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we're going to continue to cover it. It's going to be interesting. We're certainly going to have a lot of theater when it comes to the Republican side as the election nears. Tabitha, what in the heck is going on? We got updates yesterday. Now the State Department, the United States State Department, is telling U.S. citizens still in Russia to leave immediately due to the ongoing war in Ukraine and the risk of harassment now and incarceration at the hands of Russian officials.
There's been, this isn't the first time. They issued a very similar statement months ago. So I don't think anything too crazy is going on now compared to then. But what is happening right now, Putin's being backed into a corner. Think about this. We're no longer in a proxy war. We are in a real war. Our government doesn't want to call it that, but it is a real war. Russia considers it a real war. And when you're at war with another country, guess what? You don't want that other country's citizens to be in your country. And right now, Russia, they're getting prepared. We have Ukrainian troops right here in the United States, in Oklahoma, training on the Patriot missile defense system. And very soon, those items are going to be over there. The defense system is going to be in the Ukraine. We have tanks coming in. There's 387 tanks total heading to Ukraine from various European countries, from the United States. The first one should arrive mid-March.
And this is all to fight?
Fight Russia. And so the United States, all of Europe, all of NATO, they are coming up against Russia. They are when they send these tanks into Ukraine starting in March, and whenever they start receiving these Patriot missile defense systems, it's such a big deal because it's going to be even harder for Russia to fight back. We've always said Putin will not lose. He will not lose. And so therefore, he is amassing 1 million, some people say 2 million troops along the border that he's getting ready to send to Ukraine. And if you're an American and you're in Russia right now, you are the enemy.
Eric, did you guys, I know you watch Tucker Carlson a lot. Did you see, he had an interview the other night of a guy who said America is who is starting crap with China and Russia.
I've heard
they said that the Biden administration is literally poking anyone.
Of course we are.
And everyone how can we say,
do you
of course
doubt it?
We are? In my mind,
we just said we were going to be at war with China.
Who's our guiding light in this? Because now you're right. There's nothing. Here's the deal. In what you just said, Biden has lied to us just time and time and time again. I don't know what's true anymore. I don't know what this octagon image is over a candidate is. I don't know what she must be going. These guys are nuts. If they keep this up, they're going to get us in World War III.
We're already in World War III.
Not so much.
No, we actually literally are.
We're in a Cold War.
It's not a Cold War.
When you say a proxy war, that's
we're no longer in a proxy war. Because you know what? When we have Ukrainian troops here in our country training on our Patriot missile defense system, we are in a real war. This is not a fake war anymore. This is a real war. It's not a proxy war. We're not just sending money over. We're not just sending weapons over. We are training their troops. We have Americans on the border right now, ready to go into Ukraine to fight. We are in a real war. And then we have our government who just said, a week ago, that we are going to be in a war with China by 2025. And then other generals came forward and said, no, not 2025. Try 6 months from now.
Yeah, there's interesting
6 months.
6 months.
Like I'm very interested to know, and I know we'll never get the answer to this. We'll get the answer, but no one will say it's the truth. Who the hell blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
We did.
We did.
I know.
I know.
But we said that Russia blew it up, and Russia's
did.
like, no, we didn't actually do this. We don't have the technology to go put bombs on the bottom of the ocean.
That's the game we always play.
And then you go like this, and then you just square this, Tabitha. There's a damn balloon hovering over the damn country.
And we probably did that too.
With American writings on it. With United States companies helping them build this thing.
That's absolutely correct.
And I would just wonder, is she going, we didn't put that damn thing up there. And if we did, we thought they were going to take it out over the Pacific. I mean, seriously, it's like, what do you believe anymore? It's like Pinocchio. If the damn nose starts growing one time, then if you're the boy that cried wolf, and that's what the Biden administration is. They're the boy that cried wolf. Yeah, my documents that were in the garage are much different than Trump's. No, they're not. They're in the damn garage where you have a damn drug addict son who's selling your information to Ukraine, Russia, and China.
This is all about money.
It's no different.
It's all about money.
Totally. I mean, this guy, I legitimately don't want to not like any United States president. I'm getting to the point right now where I legitimately don't like him
as a human being. For your country.
Yeah,
But he hasn't changed. He's been the same guy that ran for president that was yelling in the face of an auto worker in Detroit.
Exactly.
I mean, this is a guy that was yelling. Now, he doesn't talk to reporters anymore because he got the position somehow, somewhere.
Where is he?
But he doesn't deal with people anymore.
Where is he? Why doesn't he just slide the door open to the press and say, guys, what's up? What a weekend. I'm going to play the part of Joe Biden real fast. What a weekend. Wow. I've never seen so many.
You're failing already. You actually are making points.
Oh, when I'm not trying to.
Speaking without slurring.
I'll take any questions that I can. There's a few things under national security that I can't talk about.
Biden doesn't matter. He's just a puppet. He's just a talking head that stands there. And that's always been the case. Not just with Biden, with pretty much every president.
There's just so much going on with Russia, China, the United States.
It's all about
now.
money. It's all about money. You know why? Because remember how we just defaulted? Our country is bankrupt. We just defaulted. We have no money. Well, guess what? War makes money. War is very profitable. So you go, this is why war happens every so many years, because that's how your country makes money.
Well, here's the deal. This is why it sucks. Is because just go to the green lights, the lasers. The United States government knows what they were. What the hell were they? Just tell us what they were.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things over the last 50 years that the government has not told us.
Well, no. Did
you see the Weather Channel posted?
Oh, no, I didn't.
What they post?
The Weather Channel made a post with photos of UFOs.
Okay.
Talking about UFOs shot down. And I thought that was kind of crazy coming from the legitimate Weather Channel.
Here's the deal.
Hey, by the way, happy birthday to listener and viewer Glenn Thompson.
Happy birthday, Glenn.
Glenn and his wife are avid listeners and concert goers of Platinum Rock Legends.
And happy Valentine's Day.
And happy Valentine's Day.
I wore my red for you.
That's what we said. You look fantastic.
Do you have a Valentine today?
I do not have a Valentine. I am as single as single
Eric,
gets.
that was the best look you've ever given.
Well, I feel sorry for you because you don't have a Valentine.
I am so happy.
No, you're not. You wore red today for a reason. I feel sad. Tabitha, anybody out there want to go out with Tabitha today?
No, thank you.
Everybody raise your hand.
We need to do a separate recording, a pod that's not part of the live show, to talk about my views on relationships.
That is bull crap. First of all,
she's a relationship doctor.
Whatever.
Not a doctor.
She's a human being. She wants to snuggle with somebody in her bed at night.
No, I do not.
Yes, you do.
You know what?
And you want to eat some lasagna with your boy across the table. You need
to go watch. There's a Netflix series called Alone, and it's about survivalists out in the woods.
You're that?
No, the thing is
naked and afraid.
You can't snuggle with a Jeep.
But here's the thing. There was a time when people had to be together in relationships because the men needed to hunt for the food.
Yes.
Oh
the women had to raise the kids who were going to go out and hunt for the food.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I have my own money. I can reach the.
That's
I
not the
can get a
point.
ladder out to reach the top
lonely?
shelf.
You're not lonely?
No.
It's a great time to talk about
If
this kind of
anybody
stuff.
I was
was
just
never
seeing
gonna
someone
be
for 8
lonely,
years. No thanks.
it would be Tabitha.
I can
So
do
when
the
you go
first-
to Napoli,
do
your bougie ass
everything
little
on
bar,
my
when you go
own.
to your bougie ass little
There's
bar,
nothing wrong with Napoli.
I didn't say there's anything wrong with Napoli.
Eric's been to Napoli.
When you see some guy give you a little wink at the end of the bar, you're like, okay, I could do this. Nothing. There's no spark.
No.
Is your spark plug dead?
Yes.
Well,
Sorry. Come on, man.
hopefully your spark
Live-
plug isn't dead.
Come on. Yeah.
I was
yours
seeing,
too,
no,
Vic.
no. I was seeing someone for 8 years, and now I need 8 years to recover and get back
Oh
to.
dear God.
Drew
Yeah.
Collins said he wants to go out with you.
Come on, Drew, let's go.
Todd says he'll pick you up for breakfast. IHOP. He'll take you to IHOP as soon as the show is over.
Not bougie enough.
Relationships aren't for everyone. You know, I know Vic goes against this because he's very Catholic,
Stop it.
and it's in the Bible
I
that you're
love it.
supposed to be
I
coupled
love
up
it.
with someone. But you know what? I have a child.
You're not
No,
supposed
you're
to
not
be.
supposed to be anything.
I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think people, and I know this is very controversial, I don't think humans were meant to be with the same person forever. I think you should cycle people in and out like every 8 to 10
baby.
years.
Cycle them in and out.
Jesus.
I think somebody on this show said that they came in and out of the bedroom really fast.
Yeah.
No name's going to be mentioned.
What happened?
Yeah,
Didn't-
the spark plug talk is
Yeah,
probably the
Tabitha.
best thing that's ever been said
Anyway,
on this
I
show.
like your little red shirt over there.
Thank you.
It is representing women who do have boyfriends very well.
I'm with Jamie. She can buy her own chocolate and flowers.
But don't you miss it? Okay, here's a
I
good
think that's a song.
All right, here's a legitimate question. So you hate the relationships? Fine, whatever.
You know, I
hold
think
on.
that people are better off without them.
Do you miss this day? This is first of all, and me and Vic and Scotty will all agree on this. Guys don't give a damn about Valentine's Day. We don't care. We act like we
Most
care.
women don't
Hold on.
either.
Hold on. Valentine's Day.
Not
Valentine's
the
Day.
women I've known.
Valentine's Day can get guys killed though if they
They
don't
really
do it right.
care.
If they don't do it right, guys can get literally killed if they don't do it right.
It's a
So here's my question here.
holiday.
Here's my
That's
question to you.
awesome, man.
Do you not miss the chocolates?
I can buy myself
Do you
chocolates.
not miss the flowers?
I can buy myself flowers.
You sound like Miley Cyrus now.
You're asking the questions.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
giving you the answers.
All right. I tried, guys. I tried pulling it out of Tabitha Hassel for you.
No, you tried. Hey,
Anyway.
by the way, a new study says the CDC. Hey, Scotty boy, can you hear us?
He can't.
I just didn't want. Hey, Scott. All right, that's right. He was having a conversation with the mic. I wanted to make
That's
sure he
okay.
knew I was getting. So I'm having to text him really quick
He's
so
not paying
that he
attention.
gets it.
Mhm.
We don't want him to say anything.
No, go ahead and say whatever you want. We don't care. It's a podcast.
So, Eric, let's talk about your relationship status.
Stop it. We're not getting into that.
Well,
stuff.
Eric has
I-
a beautiful girlfriend.
Hold on, here's the deal.
Who I
Here's-
love, by the way.
I've
here's
got
the
an
deal.
important story about masks.
Hold
and
on.
the
but
CDC.
this is important, Vic.
It's a Valentine's Day mask.
I do think that people are happier. Their blood pressure is lower. They're less stressed.
So you're talking about men.
If you
Men
have
need
if you have a
relationships.
co-pilot in life, I think that it's something that people look forward to. If you find the right person, I do think that it is a nightmarish hell
Men
if
are
you're not
needy.
with the right person.
I'm
No,
gonna-
don't say things
gonna
like that.
make
I
my-
was trying to be.
I know you are. And you know what? And you truly are a sweetheart, and so are you, Vic, and Scotty is as well. Even though he's not listening to us, I want to make my own little Valentine's hearts. You know those little sweet tart things with the little sayings on them that says "Men are needy, men need women."
Not really. No, men are not needy. Men are they're
Men-
simpletons.
Most men
the
need to
faster-
be in a relationship, and
The
women
faster
do not.
that you realize that guys are the simplest objects on the planet, the better off you'll be. Women are not the simplest objects on the planet. They say one thing, but you know they mean another, and it's your job
I
to
didn't
figure
say
out
we
what they
were
damn
simple.
meant.
I didn't say we were simple.
I
Okay.
love where the show went with that.
I'm sorry. It's Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's
It's our
Day.
bent on Valentine's Day discussion on
You know what?
Cancel
This is certainly better than proving that the CDC was wrong with the information. Now, the actual scientific data study was just shown that public places were not made any safer with masking. Chicago, what is it? The Times? Chicago Sun-Times? What is
Yes.
it? Chicago Sun-Times. It was actually released in the Chicago Sun-Times stating that Rachel Walensky, the director of the CDC, and the information they said regarding masking did not, I repeat, did not help in reducing any transmission, as we had said. And if you want to wear a mask, that's fine. It just the CDC was trying to force everybody saying that it was actually saving lives, when evidence and scientific studies are now showing that it did not. And I think that's a big story and a big deal to cover before we get to rapper T Double, because the fact is lives were changed. Businesses were put in very bad situations. People were put in bad situations. Now, I believe, and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, oh, yeah, it made sense. We'll put a mask on. But ever since we had the 3M expert come in and explain to us, unless you're wearing an N95 properly fitted, disposed of properly,
still 25 feet away, even then.
If you're a man without it wouldn't work. So
no,
it's not just that; it's the Vex. It's the
Don't-
cupcake.
Don't say it.
The cupcake is lumped right in there with it, because now we're seeing all these lawsuits against the cupcake, and it's starting to grow of people who have been injured. Not just it didn't work,
And now animals,
but injured
animals. They're wanting to cupcake.
Thank you for bringing this up.
Animals. And you know what that means? That means you might go to your grocery store and you might buy a steak.
Oh,
and
Lord.
even though you haven't gotten the cupcake, your steak has.
Is that right?
It's a
Yes.
story
Vic.
that was just released. It's true, Eric. I saw it.
And states are starting to.
I don't know the legitimacy of everything that's going on with it regarding if it could really hurt us or help us, or if you're actually going to be putting it in your body.
I don't want that in my meat or in any of my food. The GMOs are bad enough. Antibiotics, bad enough. All the hormones they put in is bad enough. Do I want an mRNA cupcake in my meat? No, I do not.
You got to flag the
No, I
tape
do
on
not.
that one.
That's
a bumper sticker.
Is it Tennessee? I think it's Tennessee is the state.
Bumper sticker.
They're out.
Oh my God.
They are outlawed.
Say that again.
Could you repeat that again, Tabitha? Come on.
See if you can do that again.
I don't even know what I said.
An mRNA cupcake in my whatever. I don't know.
And her meat.
It's fantastic.
I thought you said your meat.
Meat in my cupcake. Anyway,
I want meat.
happy Valentine's Day.
So, an unvaccinated person has intercourse with someone who's vaccinated. Is that the same?
Dude.
I'm just saying. I mean, if you're going to eat it in your
Vic.
meat, I mean, come on. I
Vic.
don't think it's going to make a difference.
Go to a different. I think you got to go
Vic.
to a different topic, man, to be picking up stuff.
It is Valentine's Day.
Careful who you're shagging.
Wow.
Oh my God, that is the
Lord.
best. She said she didn't want. You didn't say infected. You just said
I said an mRNA cupcake in my meat. As in a steak. Come on now. Leave it to you guys to turn that into something dirty.
Tabitha.
Oh, geez.
You've turned the tables on me in the past. Where I'm
And she
like,
doesn't
come
even
on.
laugh when she says it. She doesn't.
Because I didn't think of it as being funny.
It's
I'm
hilarious.
like picturing livestock.
You are the
and
funniest person I
steaks at the
know.
grocery
You are
store.
literally the funniest person I know.
Unintentionally.
Whatever. It's just funny, man. I got a damn Tabitha poster over my kitchen table. It's the funniest thing.
I'm
ever.
glad it's over the kitchen table.
Tabitha, what do people need to take away from cupcake infected meat?
Move to Tennessee.
Oh, stop it.
Get a hold of, you know what? In the state of Tennessee, they are going to, I think that's already passed. They are not going to allow meat to be sold in their grocery stores if the animal had an mRNA cupcake. So you know what? Guess what? Get a hold of your legislators here in the great state of Missouri, whatever state you may live in, and tell them, I don't want to go to my grocery store. I don't want to purchase food, whether it be steak, chicken, poultry, whatever you might be getting, and not know if it has an mRNA cupcake
we
in
do
it.
need to talk to somebody, Vic, a physician or somebody that knows what this does. And is it effective if it was injected into the meat of cow, chickens, or whatever it is? I would like to know if it transfers, because it seems like a pretty fragile substance.
And think about the bigger picture. Look what the cupcake is doing to humans and the myocarditis and all of the other health issues.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the livestock? If they go out, let's say, and you have 10,000 cows and you inject them all with the C word mRNA cupcake. We have to talk in code these days.
So
if anybody can figure out those code words. And is that going to deplete our livestock? Are they all going to drop dead? Are they going to have heart issues? And then if you eat their meat that has been injected with the mRNA cupcake, are you going to get myocarditis from that?
I feel like I'm in a Pink Floyd song all of a sudden. How can you have your
It's like
cupcake
a
if you don't eat your meat?
Riddle.
I don't know. Does it feel like
that's
I feel like
damn
I'm
good, Eric?
It's like the wall. It's Dark Side of the Moon, whatever.
Are you really concerned about this?
I'm extremely concerned.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'm so concerned that this week I'm going to, and I've been saying I'm going to do this forever. I'm going to go buy one of those stand-up deep freezes to put out in my garage. I'm going to go buy a whole cow from someone I know who doesn't use that type of thing.
And I can't wait to hear the rest of that.
I am also the door opener on the show.
Tabitha, you're so passionate about these things.
And you know what? I'm passionate. My son's dad died from COVID. Okay. I have I consider myself a pure blood. I have the magic blood because guess what? I had the C and I didn't get, I wasn't sick. I didn't have any symptoms. And guess what? I have to survive longer for my son. And we all want to live as long as we can. I am not going to take the chance, since I didn't get the cupcake, to go and eat a steak and get the cupcake from that.
Yeah.
You know, our health should be the utmost important to all of us.
No,
we
it
all
should
want to
be.
live longer. And so it is very passionate for me.
No, I appreciate it. And that's why I wanted to ask you about it. We appreciate you updating us on that. The other big story that we've been talking about, guy flying all around Michigan State University, unfortunately. There were at least 3 students killed, 5 injured. The killer, who was found dead, Anthony McRae at Michigan State University. So a 43-year-old, police identified the gunman as. So that was a national story. Just letting everybody know it's a sad thing. We've seen those stories happen before.
But are you so desensitized right now, Vic, that it doesn't even matter?
And
I'm saying
I am.
On a human level. On a human level.
It all depends on the level in regards to what do we mean by desensitized? When it comes to the amount of stories in school shootings or colleges, yeah. If my student is there, and of course you guys know that I spent 11 years in Detroit and I love that place, and I know a lot of people have kids at Michigan State, so they were posting. When you see family members posting about it, when that violence comes to your family, then it changes things. You're not desensitized anymore as much as we have with that. By the way, you're listening to Cancel This. It's cancelthisshow.com. Once again, cancelthisshow.com. Kathy Hilbig-Strick, realtor, will be in tomorrow, working on Colonel Joe for the week as well. On Friday, Chanel Rion from AON will be joining us. She was a massively popular guest when she was on. She'll be coming in 9 o'clock on Friday as well. And of course, you can get all of our original content at cancelthisshow.com. Once again, share the show. You can go on there, check out your favorite platforms, and like and subscribe no matter what you're doing. And of course, if you can't watch us live or watch it and you're on the go, you can always listen to it. As you know, we edit those podcasts that go straight to our audio platforms at iHeart, Spotify, Google, and Apple, of course. Scotty Gherkin running the boards and the cameras as always. We've got Eric Johnson here. Tabitha Hassel looking for a Valentine on this Valentine's Day. She says she doesn't, but she's playing hard to get.
We'll
you
get
know
back
how that
into
goes.
that.
She's playing hard to get. I'm Vic Faust, and of course, we're very, very, very blessed. And I say blessed that we have somebody who wanted to come into the studio today. Rapper T-Dub-O, St. Louis's own, in studio today. T-Dub-O. Am I saying it right? T-Dub-O?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And he's got a Seattle hat on. Are you a Mariners fan?
I definitely am.
Explain your situation.
I lived. Are you from Seattle?
No, I'm from St. Louis.
You're from St. Louis? I knew Ken Griffey Jr.
Did you?
I knew A-Rod.
You lucky.
I lived in Seattle for quite some time. I was on Sports Talk Radio, and I have a very fond place in my heart. I actually went to see games that the Mariners played in the Old Kingdom.
Yeah, I've been a few times. Seattle's a beautiful city.
It is beautiful. It kind of turned me off the night that they had sushi. They were walking sushi down and saying, "Get you hot beer, cold beer, and then sushi." I was like, I'm out.
The times.
Hey, T-Dub-O, but Alex Rodriguez and King Griffey Jr., they don't know Eric.
Right. Ken Griffey Jr. used to say, you look like Kevin Bacon. That's how he always said. Hey, look, Kevin Bacon.
I can kind of see that.
I can see it too, man. I could see that. Hey, T-Dub-O, you got a new album that was released. You're one of us. Of course, we're a national podcast, a live show, but we're based out of the St. Louis area. You're one of our own. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, a new album that's being released, and then we'll get into talking about issues and subjects that you've dealt with from a personal standpoint.
Definitely. Well, my name is T-Dub-O. I'm a hip-hop artist from right here in St. Louis, Missouri. I got my start actually in battle rap. It was a local league by the name of Street Status, which has come to international fame. I was scouted by the league owner due to my skill set. Took a minute for me to actually indulge his request, just being young and and arrogant, not knowing if that was the path for me. But ultimately, I saw the light in regards to how these rappers were getting millions and millions of views, but nobody was dropping any music. So I'm like, this is free promotion, you know? So I got my start, built a small international fan base, you know, cult-like following, dropped a couple mixtapes while I was honing my craft and really learning how to create music and forge my own lane in regards to the direction I wanted to go. And after that, I mean, the rest is just history. I dropped a couple, you know, crazy mixtapes, couple albums, been consistent with my work ethic, and I've done some amazing things so far.
Yeah. My son and I listened to you 2 days ago and last night. He's a freshman, loves rap, loves your stuff.
For sure.
Thinks it's raw.
Thank you.
It's real. I don't love all the videos as a dad with my kids seeing some of them, but I'm telling you, you're good, man. You're talented.
Thank you.
Got the voice. And if the whole rapper thing doesn't work, like James Earl Jones, move over because T-Double will be doing all the voice work that needs to be done. You got a great voice, super talented.
Hollywood, you heard him.
In regards, how can people find some of your work right now? What's the best place to find you and what you're doing?
Everywhere. Just search T-Double, whether you know, go to Google or any type of social media or any music platform. Like, just type in my name. You're gonna see me for sure.
When we met, it was through a friend of yours who said, you guys got to have this guy on. You've got to have T-Double on, because a lot of what you talk about, you know, as we talk about and we joke about it, you know, we're 4 white people, 3 in St. Louis or 3 in St. Charles County, 1 in St. Louis County. Tabitha, and she'll tell you, she lived in the city for a little bit. None of us have. There's no surprise that there's issues that are going on in the city, but your friend Chris said, hey, let's see if we can get T-Dub in, at least to talk about issues where he may disagree when it comes to some of the issues you have.
For sure.
We're not all for big government. I'd love to start the whole conversation with you talking about how you're not for big government.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm in between. You know, I agree with some of the stances on both sides. I disagree with some of the stances on both sides. I just view it like this. I feel like what I was taught as a kid in regards to the history and the morality of America, I don't feel like that's where we are right now in regards to liberty for everybody, freedom for everybody. And even what you all was just talking about in regards to the cupcake, I haven't eaten a cupcake and I don't plan on eating a cupcake.
Neither way.
Good. You know, no one in my household is eating a cupcake. And we've also been blessed to none of us have caught COVID either. Right. Even though, you know, we've been traveling and all of that, you know, we just been blessed. But the right to choose is what America was founded on. And I feel like we've gotten away from that. And not just in our communities. Of course, the Black community has been dealing with, you know, oppression in regards to those freedoms forever. But now we're starting to see it trickle down everywhere. Yeah. And you said you never lived in the city, but I don't view St. Louis City and St. Louis County as that different. In St. Louis County alone this year, some of the same issues that we deal with in the city we're starting to see in the county. St. Louis County homicide rate rose 37% last year. So those issues are beginning to, you know, translate across those borders, so to speak.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And when you come in this room, and we've had a lot of people come in here, the point of it is we're all seeing the same things, and we're all trying to have discussion about how to make things better.
Right.
However that gets done, it doesn't matter to me. But the biggest problem in St. Louis, hands down, there's not even a close second, is the crime.
Absolutely.
It's the fact that their community's hurting. Every time there's a new kid that I watch channel 2, 4, and 5, every morning I see 15 minutes of some kid got shot in St. Louis. And I'm like, I'm disgusted. Not because of myself, because every kid represents an entire family network that now has to mourn the death of that kid. So every time someone comes in here, just remember, it's like, we just want to help. We're literally like, what do you do to help? And you're right, St. Louis County, it's leadership to me. It's if you don't look at the crime as like a tumor, as a cancerous tumor, and you're not going to go vigorously at it, the tumor is just going to keep growing.
Absolutely.
But we don't have that problem in St. Charles. St. Charles, we have leadership out there that's like, you bring that crap here, we're going to catch you. You're going to go to jail for a long time.
Well, it's also deeper than that, because in St. Charles, and my mother-in-law lives in St. Charles, we spend a lot of time out there. Mm-hmm. It's deeper than that. You know, it's so many different, you know, opportunities, events, just you know, across the holiday, going down the main street, whether it's the Christmas lights festival or the Halloween. Like, it's so many different things that the city of St. Charles invests for the community to be a part of. It's like, okay, if you need help, it's there for you.
Amen.
And that's the difference between St. Louis and St. Charles.
Let me tell you this, though. Back when I was her age, I used to go to St. Louis. I used to go to St. Louis City because there were so many things to do. There was the Arch on any given Saturday. There was the VP Fair on 4th of July.
Facts.
There was Washington. We used to go from bar to bar to bar. We used to go to Pioneers. We used to go to the Landing.
For sure, yeah.
And St. Louis was vibrant. It was amazing. It made St. Charles look like a cow town. It did. I'm serious. But now it's all dead because Tashara and our leadership,
Tashara Jones, St. Louis mayor,
Lyda Cruzan before that.
Yeah. Lack of leadership.
They just
Terrible.
don't care
Terrible.
about anything else that's not outside of their little
and I agree with that. And people try to crucify me because, first Black woman mayor. And I was pushing for that, and I had faith in regards to that situation until I started to see the results. And me personally, I don't care if you're Black, white, Asian, whatever you are, whatever you identify as, if you're not doing your job properly, I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm not going to give you grace on the fact of whatever race you was born at. If we decide to elect you and use our voices to give you that power to represent us, to actually help us, and I see that you're not doing that job properly, I'm gonna call you out. And a lot of people don't like that.
Before I throw it to her, because I know she's wanting to get on it. There's a lady down there called Kim Gardner.
Yeah.
And she's letting a lot of people
St. Louis Circuit Attorney.
She's letting a lot of kids out of prison, and she's funded by this cat named George Soros. Is there a chance that St. Louis City can see what has happened to the prosecutor's office and maybe vote this lady out?
I mean, I've been aware of that from the jump. And we supported Kim getting into that office. But as you all are seeing her let out some people that possibly should be put away, we're seeing the same prosecutor's office throw the book at people that don't deserve it. There's the same issues that we're facing. So overall, we have a problem with leadership in St. Louis, the entire region. Not just in the county, not just in the city. I think it goes as far as statewide. And until we start to have these real, honest, open dialogues, I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah, we're going to have some. I know Tabitha's got a few questions at least to ask now when it gets into that from a policing standpoint.
For sure.
Absolutely. But before I talk to you about police, one thing and it kind of ties together. I'm from Chicago. I was aware of rapping long before it ever came to St. Louis. And to me, rap has always been a way of people expressing themselves.
For sure. Definitely.
And so I know there's a big tie-in, and I know you've probably lost a lot of friends over the years. There's a lot of tie-in between rapping and gangs. And I'm curious if that tie-in comes from people in poverty wanting to be able to express themselves and their frustrations.
Well, you can't limit gangs to just rap.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just, unfortunately, it's a part of inner city culture, and it didn't start with Black culture. I mean, look at how we praised the American Mafia. The Chinese triad, so on and so forth. The Yakuza.
Japanese.
Gangs in a sense of impoverished communities of people trying to fight against oppression and fight their way out. Ultimately, they become outlaws. So there's a phrase that I love from the Batman movies: either you die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. It's human nature to survive, so whatever path you decide to choose to do that, ultimately it comes down to your free will. But normally where you see poverty, you're going to see gangs, you're going to see crime.
But so many rap songs are about F the police.
For sure.
You see people waving around guns and drugs and stacks of cash. I had a different show back in 2013. I followed a lot of the local rappers. Most of them are dead now.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
And so is that a true hatred for police? Is it a way of expressing how rappers really feel, or is it really just a song?
It depends on the rapper. I think a lot of people may use rap as a way to get popular. Me, when I say F the police, I really mean it. And it doesn't mean police as individual humans. It means the structure of policing. You never heard nobody say F the fire department. I'm just being honest. So it's not that we have a hatred for public servants. We have a hatred for how policing is bestowed upon our community. Think about it like this. And I always combat this when people say we need more police in St. Louis City.
Mhm.
We have more police walking the street per capita than Manhattan, and Manhattan has 8 million people. Clearly, we don't need more police. We have the highest recidivism rate in the nation. That means when people go to jail, they come out and go back to jail. Clearly, the jails and the rehabilitation programs in the jail aren't working. It may be time to look at some different options.
So you don't think we do need more police?
Absolutely not. We have more per capita than Manhattan. We don't need more police. We need better policing.
Well, how do you get that though? And by the way, we're talking with St. Louis area rapper T-Dubbo. He's got a new album that's coming out as well. Just type it in. He said, Google him, check him out. You'll find all of his work. I had the opportunity from Chris, your contact, your friend, your teammate, who sent me your work. Super, super talented guy. And as you can hear him talk right now, very well spoken, incredible voice, and super talented, like I said, and very educated, bringing some great points to view, just so that people understand. My only issue is, have you had something personal happen to you that you would say F the police? Because I've got a dad who was a cop who did everything he possibly could before he got out of it to do things the right way. He walked me through jails, or at least he walked me through once in the St. Clair County area. And I got
scared the hell out of you.
Well, it scared the hell out of me, but I also saw the respect that local gangs had because he treated guys who were in there
the proper way
with respect. Yeah. And, Little V, as they referred to him, they treated me with a lot of respect as well. So I don't see the F the police atmosphere, but I want to have this open conversation. I don't know why you would say that.
I mean, it's just what we deal with. And yes, I have had personal experiences. Before I had those personal experiences, I watched it happen to people in my neighborhood. I watched it happen to my cousins. Watched it happen to my uncles. I watched it happen to almost every black man that I ever knew. The first time I had a negative experience, I probably was 13 to 14 years old. You're familiar with the structure of St. Louis County, 90 different municipalities for whatever reason, 90 different police departments.
So you grew up in the county or the city?
No, I grew up in the city. But my grandmother, she moved to the county. So going to her house was an escape from my neighborhood. So every holiday, every weekend, we spent it at Granny's. And she lived in Velda City. I don't know if you're familiar with this small neighborhood. It's in Normandy off of Lucas and Hunt.
Normandy.
It's a very small municipality, maybe 1,500 citizens. One of the most corrupt police departments that you will ever meet. 30% of their physical budget comes off of just pulling people over that comes through. If you haven't broken the law, they'll create a reason to give you a ticket just to bring in income.
Right.
They have certain ordinances over there. If your grass grow an inch beyond this level, you get a ticket. You can't have more than 3 people standing on your front porch, things like that. Which is, if I'm a property owner and this is my land, which my grandmother owned her house, it wasn't rent, it wasn't none of that. She owned her house. You're not going to tell me how many people can stand on my front porch.
And those are common laws. I lived in Ladue for a number of years when I was in high school, and you couldn't even be in your front yard at all. You
which
had to
is
be in your backyard.
Absolutely insane if we're talking about, I mean, this is America.
Yeah.
This is America. So we had family from out of town in one day. I can't remember if it was Christmas or New Year's, but it was wintertime. Family pulled up. They're bringing in their luggage. At the same time, a police officer who was known to harass young men around the neighborhood, name is Officer Winger. He was later found guilty on federal charges in regards to drug charges and some other things. So clearly he was a dirty cop. Came down the street as they're taking their bags out, coming up on the porch. He immediately hops out, chip on his shoulder. Y'all have to walk to the back. Now, we have family from all over, coming in. We got a cousin from New York. We got family from Tennessee, everywhere, Texas. So they're confused. Why is the police pulling up with a siren, telling us we have to get off the front porch and walk through the back? My grandmother comes out. They're just pulling up. They're bringing us stuff in. Everybody greeting them. Happy holidays. We're not going to be out here. He curses her out. Everybody else, they see the police. I've never been afraid of anything in my life. Man, beast, I was just raised that way. And I've always been taught to question things that are wrong, no matter where it's coming from. I decided to question it. In return, I was placed in handcuffs, taken to their holding cell, which was above a liquor store. And I was handcuffed to a cell and beaten.
As a 13-year-old.
As a 13-year-old.
Do you feel like that's because you're black?
Absolutely.
But see, I can't agree with you on that. You know why? Because I have 2 brothers who were beaten by police. when they were 13, 14 years old,
Mhm.
hit in the head with a flashlight. One of them actually was taken to the police station in Ladue,
Yeah, it happens.
taken away from where the cameras were, hit in the head with a flashlight. Another one of my brothers, the police beat him so bad, it broke his eye sockets, his nose.
But are you making his point though that that's why he says F the
Yeah.
police?
Yeah.
Because
I
you
think
see-
there are
I'm not- I'm
bad
not-
there are bad police
I'm not
officers.
disputing that
but
it
I
doesn't
think it-
happen to white people.
But I
What I'm
think it
saying,
happens to everyone. But do you
It
think it
does.
disproportionately, I should say maybe, happens to black people more than white people?
Absolutely. It's proven facts. We get killed more unarmed. And I mean,
But
if you
there
look,
are more white people killed by police unarmed than there are black people. That's a fact in this country.
I mean, it's more white people than it is black people
Absolutely
here. You're the
so.
majority, but according to percentage, we have a higher percentage in regards to actual chance of dying at the hands of police. Also, if you check the numbers, we're not a threat to the police. People who kill the police are white people, predominantly white men. I'm not a threat to the police, but they see me as a threat. And I'm not disputing that it doesn't happen to every other race. It does. That's why I say it's a problem with policing. It absolutely happens with every other race. One of the highest ranking percentages in regards to people that are shot by police are white women. It's a very high percent. Absolutely very high. It's undeniable. So we have a problem with policing in this country. And it's not that black people are the only people to deal with it. Everybody deals with it. It's just a proven fact that we deal with it at an absolute outrageous percentage higher than anybody else.
Since the 70s are littered with stories of cops kind of policing in their own way. I have a story of a guy who owned a house, and the cops, instead of taking him to jail, would take him into his own basement, beat him with nightsticks, and say, "If I come back again, you're going to jail, and you might not even make it out of here." So the American story of policing is littered with that kind of stuff, and I agree, that's bullcrap. When you get pulled over, you shouldn't be in fear of anything.
Absolutely not.
Because it's a public servant trying to do a job, and I think that don't you feel like the pendulum's kind of starting to level out a little bit? That the cops understand they're scrutinized with their body cameras, that the cops are scrutinized by the public, that the cops are scrutinized. Amazing. We know more about what the cops are doing now than we've ever in the history of this. But at the same time, violence, like you said, you don't say F the fire department.
Right.
Violence begets violence.
Exactly.
And if you have a violent perp in front of you and they're suspicious of maybe breaking into a Macy's, that situation is kind of fragile, if you would say. And the cop has to do his job to figure out how to negotiate the situation.
I agree.
And so it's like I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't think any cop should beat anybody. But at the same time, we are in a position in this country where we have so much crime going on, where there's so much public property being destroyed. We have to do something.
I agree.
And the only people that are in that thin blue line thing is real. If the cops go away, it's anarchy. And we have to figure out how to measure that a little bit more.
I agree.
And I think that before we get to the discussion about how do we fix this stuff, what would your message be to the cops right now? What would you say to them? Are you still fearful of them? Are you kind of like, can you have a discussion with them? Or have you changed at all the way that you look at a cop in St. Louis City? Don't you feel like, can you feel their pain at all?
It's cops that I interact with.
Yeah.
I have my little sister, she was engaged to a cop. I've had cops in my family. It's cops that I see out that are fans of my music, that are fans of my work,
exactly
that
right.
even have donated to programs, volunteered at programs. They fully understand the messaging. They understand why we say FTP, because they know we're not saying it to them as individuals.
Right.
It's more so to the structure of what's wrong with policing. And they understand that. And it's just a problem of that has been miscommunicated. So when we say that and the media takes, they're saying F the police, they don't care. It's not that. It has to be communicated properly.
Yeah.
And the police that I interact with, they understand that. I've never been fearful of police, even as a kid.
Yeah, but me and you are on the same page. Here's the deal. I think that there's a lot of things we can fix. Crime, we can't. If you're a criminal and your nature by heart is to wake up in the city of St. Louis and you're going to go get a car, bring it back, whatever, or going to go steal diamonds.
See, that's a different level of crime. So it's levels to crime, right?
Okay,
so you got people that are committing crime strictly on the fact that they're poor. Then you have a small percentage of individuals that may have a mental health issue. and then you have some truly just bad people.
Okay.
And that's across
Okay.
the board. But majority of the crime that's happening in St. Louis City, predominantly, is because people are poor.
And the majority of the crime that happens across the country, unfortunately, is
Due to
carried
poverty.
out. Well, and I'm assuming it is. It has to be, and it's also the African American community at that highest rate. If
Absolutely.
you look at those stats as well, and you say it's because of the situations that people are born in, I guess,
Absolutely. It's, I
and
mean,
the
it's poverty.
communities.
Poverty.
I always call it the lottery of birth.
Yeah,
It is a lottery of birth, but it's also sometimes, you know, the culture. I tell. Let's see if you believe me. I don't believe in racism. I think the racism, the way that we were born, unless you were born in 1857, we were all born in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We were brought up in a culture of kind of bringing everybody together. And something happened just recently. I think we're living in an age of culturalism, where you don't understand another person's culture. If I'm Swedish, I love all people, but I don't understand the hip hop culture. I couldn't make it in that community, and I don't think hip hop community could go to an Amish community. That's culturalism.
Surprise.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like I think
Copenhagen, you know, they came and did a whole documentary on me, but that's
Yeah.
another talk.
I mean, Chinese people, you know, the Chinese culture in Seattle, Washington, I know for a fact they couldn't handle living in certain cultures. They have they're very specific. They love everybody, but there's very specific cultural things that people do that they don't get.
Well, no, I beg to differ. One of my close friends is Asian. He's the owner of My Lee and Noodle House, my homie Kui. And also, I mean,
he is a good dude.
He's amazing.
I know him as well.
But also, you know, back to gangs and, you know, poverty and crime. There's a whole section of Asian Crips out in California and Alaska. So I don't think, you know, it's not that people are not understanding culture. We're in a time where people may not want to understand the culture, or they have a blurred lens of, they already have a predetermination when they step into their culture of what they think about.
I'll give you an example. The South Koreans and the North Korean. I used to have a business partner. He was Japanese. And they could not stand South Koreans for some reason. And he told me this story. He goes, I don't know what it is. They look the same. They have the same skin color. But for whatever reason, their racism was based against, you know, South Korea versus Japan for whatever reason. And I was like, so you don't really give a damn about.
There's a lot of politics.
You know
involved.
what I'm saying? It's like
also other countries meddling in their affairs made it worse.
Yeah,
it is politics. Speaking of politics, what about gun control? You know, gun control is such a big issue right now.
Good question.
We have so many, we see all these break-ins in cars. We know they're looking for guns.
Right.
Because too many people go to different venues where you cannot take a weapon and you leave it in your car.
Guns are valuables. I mean,
absolutely so. But then those guns are used to commit other crimes, etc. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on gun control.
Well, I'm pro Second Amendment. I've never held that out of anything. I'm very pro Second Amendment. And there's also something that I don't agree with in the city, and I just seen a lot of people become victim of this. So Missouri is an open carry state, stand your ground state. However, there's a couple ordinances in the city that basically go against the laws of the state. For instance, if you do leave your firearm in the vehicle, it has to be in a gun safe. I never knew that till recently. I had a friend that went down to the armory, and y'all familiar with a lot of the car break-ins that's been happening down there. His car was broken into. His illegal firearm was stolen. The police approached him very aggressively. This is why we say FTP. Very aggressively. They criminalized him and gave him a summons to appear for court. I had no idea that was a law. He had no idea it was a law. I talked to probably 30 other people that had no idea that was a law. And it took me about 4 attorneys before they told me that there was a law in the city that you have to have, if you leave your gun in a car unattended, it has to be locked in the safe box.
How about that?
Yeah, it's not in the state of Missouri.
It's just in St. Louis
It's
City.
just insane. And
A
I only
city
knew
ordinance.
that. I only
City
know that
ordinance.
because I did a story on it.
Yeah,
and I would.
I
and
had no
wouldn't have
idea.
known it.
Lida put it in place in 2017.
But
I
if
had
it's
no idea.
if it's a city ordinance, then it's just going to come with like an ordinance violation citation.
Correct.
For sure.
So it's
But
it's
isn't
nothing
that
that's like
funny?
a felony.
What Tabitha just said, isn't it funny how Lyda Cruz and now Tashara are trying to criminalize the non-criminal? It's like what was it? The Hyundai are getting busted into, and now
Kia and Hyundai.
Kia and Hyundai,
Yeah.
they're like, this is your fault. This isn't the criminal's fault. This is your fault that you can
Because you bought the car.
that you can steal an
Crazy.
and I mean, when you hear our leaders say stupid ass stuff like that, do you go, what are you talking about? This is some guy that just bashed in a brand new IKEA or whatever it is.
I just look at my wife every time and I just say, why we couldn't find nobody else? Every time something like that happened, because I mean, I'm gonna call it out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call it out.
But you wanted Tashar at first because she was a woman of color, though. You told us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I mean, why not? Why not? You know, we was breaking history, and she had worked in government. She had the experience. You never really know what somebody's going to do until they actually get in
that's
office.
true.
People
I'll
can
give you
promise
that.
all these different things,
and
then
they do.
get in office and do entirely the opposite.
Yeah.
So,
and they're hurting the people in the city of St. Louis. They're hurting the Black community.
yeah, definitely.
Is who they're hurting.
Definitely.
Yeah, but what do you do? I mean, because you openly show guns on your videos.
For sure.
You know, kids see it, parents see it,
Mhm.
everybody sees it. Tabitha asked you a great question about gun control. You said you're pro Second Amendment.
And that's why I show them. And I don't show them in every video. It depends on the messaging and the song.
Yeah.
For instance, one of my most popular ones is called Almighty Gang. And there was a lot of guns in that video.
And that's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you
bad.
look at the end of the video,
That's
we
true.
actually brought 4 gangs united and we created a peace treaty right there shooting a video. That wasn't for the camera.
Was that real?
Was real.
Was that real?
I didn't know that.
That was real.
So what's the outcome of that? Does it go forward? I mean,
yeah, definitely goes forward. There hasn't been any violations between those people at all.
Nice. That's cool. You guys are the answer. You know that, right? That you got. I'm not playing. I'm not trying to suck up to you or anything like that. You literally are the answer. As soon as you guys say enough is enough, and you guys come out and you say we're policing these streets now, the cops have nothing to do with it. You guys can stop all of this stuff. You guys can stop the crime in the city. You could say the cops, they're not the answers. We are.
Well, we're working on it. We got a lot of programs in place that are trying to offset some of those numbers. But ultimately, I mean, it's going to be a joint effort. It's going to take everybody. It's going to take support from the city. It's going to take some funding from the city. It's going to take work from these organizations. It's going to take funding from these organizations.
They got a bunch of RAM money.
Yeah, it's going to take everybody.
But what about, are you saying, see, and this is one thing, and that's the best part of having these conversations. We're not always going to agree on everything. We may disagree on some
that's
things.
Okay.
And I still think police are the best situation. I'm not a supporter in the community policing that Tashar talks about. I don't even know what it means.
Oh, you don't support community policing?
I don't know what. I don't know
Come-
what she means when she says.
But this is my point. I want to understand how you see community policing.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, or what would work? Because I want to make sure I understand. You do want police, or you don't want police in the city of St. Louis?
I don't want the type of policing that we have. So if we're going to have community policing, I think we need a real logical structure of what that means. If we're going to have the same police officers working in that neighborhood,
that's what I mean.
with that community,
yes,
and have community liaisons that can work with them, take issues to them, and keep their rambunctious officers under control.
I think you misunderstood me, Tabitha. What I was talking about was her idea of reimagining policing.
Well, and I agree with you, because what community policing may not be the same thing as what
her idea
exactly.
Her idea of community policing is now social workers.
Exactly.
And
what's a social worker going to do for you, literally?
Well, I mean, social workers aren't doing anything now.
No.
There is a place for them. And
that's like 3 steps down the road.
And it's not dealing with
the
real issues that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, it's not dealing with murder. It's not dealing with homicides. It's not dealing with, the poisoning in regards to fake drugs being so. It's so many different ways that this has to be politically broken down, that the city has to be open to bring in people from the streets to have these conversations, and they have to let us spearhead that. They can't do it.
How many gangs are there that you know about in St. Louis? I mean, do you know them all? Do you I know every single one?
A lot of them.
Okay. This is a crazy concept.
10 plus?
Oh, it's well more than that.
There's so many. It's block to block in the city.
Here's a crazy concept. There's 186.
Now, a lot of them under the same sets, but
you know the leaders. There's a leadership hierarchy.
Not so much anymore.
It is literally block to block. It
Not
can be
so
one
much
block,
anymore.
one gang on one block, one gang on the
What
next
if these
block.
gangs were paid a commission? I'm not kidding with you. And they were tasked to stop crime in these areas. And they know where all the bodies are buried. They know all this stuff. What if
ceasefire?
What if we came up with a situation where it's like, what's your gang or whatever it is?
We tried that with the city.
Here's some money. You got it's a commission-based system. Every month we take a look at if you bring crime down in your area, you get paid.
So that's similar to ceasefire. There's a program that worked wonders in Oakland.
Okay.
It dropped the homicide rate like 50-60%.
I mean,
so we actually have a program called Books and Breakfast. It was modeled in 38 other cities, 3 other countries: Sierra Leone, Africa, Paris, France. When we went out to Oakland to set up the program, we got trained on ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually tried to bring that back to St. Louis, and the government refused. The local government refused.
Who's
because
that?
it was Leiter in office at the time. But it's a city commitment of $7 million a year. But how it breaks down is that you take all these different communities where the most impacted is in regards to crime.
Yeah.
You bring the most impacted individuals in regards to their program. So, of course, you have counseling and social workers and resources for victims, but there's never a program for the people who are high risk in regards to go out to perpetuate violence.
Right.
You get those people, you bring them into a program. It provides them a monthly stipend, provides them somewhere to live if they need somewhere to live. It provides them a college education if that's what they want. Or if they want to just go get them a job, you have companies come in and offer positions. I'm talking good paying jobs, benefits, so on and so forth. Oakland did it. Dropped the homicide rate 50%.
I'm 100% against that program. You shouldn't have to pay people not to commit crime.
No, it's not about that.
It's
about offsetting the fact that you have to go on the street to get your money.
Yeah, but they're telling somebody, okay, so they're paying them a job, basically paying them like a job, and their job is to go out and stop crime. And
no,
and
that's not their job.
So what would a person's job
be? The program is to build them up. So if it does provide a stipend, it's for you to live while you're changing your life. Now, these are the most impacted individuals.
So if I go out and start committing crimes and become a criminal, they will pay me to not commit crime.
No, we're going to pay you to change your life.
Same thing.
It's not, no, because you have a job, right? So is your job paying you not to commit crime?
Kind
because who knows what exactly?
I don't strangle Eric and Vic every day.
So who knows what you would do if you fell on tough times?
Well, and that no question, poverty and desperation forces people to do things that we wouldn't even think of doing.
Right.
And I lived in the city for a number of years. My family grew up in the Grove. They still live in the Grove area, and they've seen it through all the different changes.
Did a lot of shows there.
Absolutely so. You know, I see how things work in the city. You know, my cousin got involved in gangs when he was young, and I understand how poverty works. But the problem I see is that we're doing all of this. It's putting a Band-Aid on something that's a bigger problem, when we really need to start with these kids when they're really young, toddlers. Start with mentorship programs. You know, bring God into the community.
Well, see, that's part of it. So we got limited time, so I can't really break down the entire ceasefire program, but it worked.
Yeah,
clearly worked. The guy who
got 20 minutes if you have it.
So the guy, who set it up, he came to St. Louis to have a meeting, but the city denied it because it's a commitment from the city. It's not just the city paying for it; it's organizations putting it on the budget. The city just have to commit $7 million, which is small compared to what we pay to keep people in jail.
So monthly. here's a question for you, and this, man, I swear, I think we're onto something. So there's what is it, 186 million from the Rams? Is that right?
Oh no, it was more than that.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Do you know what the number was?
They're cut. Yeah, they're cut roughly $200 million.
$200 million.
Roughly.
What if we took the $200 million and we said, we all agreed in this room, it's important enough to fix the crime problem in St. Louis so that we can bring maybe more cool stuff to St. Louis, so that us people from St. Charles and West County and other parts of the country want to come see the Arch. We continue to make the boom happen here.
Right.
What if we did this somehow? And yeah, we need more cops. We had a guest in here yesterday that said we're 300 cops down.
Yeah, but T. Dubbo says we don't need more police.
We don't.
But we do. Because
New York is like one of the safest cities in the world now.
I understand that, but when there's an 87-year-old grandma who's calling for help because someone's breaking in her back, we need someone to report.
But question, is that because we don't have enough cops on duty, or the cops that are on duty aren't doing their jobs?
We don't have enough cops on duty. The city is huge. The St. Louis city is
not bigger than Manhattan.
It's a big city. At any given time in the city of St. Louis, we have about 24 police officers patrolling at any given time. That's not enough. They're picking up the pieces. They're not even able to be proactive. We have situations where one woman was calling at 2-3 o'clock in the morning saying somebody's breaking into my home, calls 911, nobody answers, calls back, and they say, well, it'll be about 45 minutes to an hour before police show up. They didn't even show up. They never showed up.
Devil's advocate. Again, like I said, I know some of them. I've also been sitting at a gas station leaving the studio and hear a call come across the walkie-talkie. and they're wanting help, and the officer continues to fill up his big gulp as if
that's bad.
But why is that if that's happening, man?
Because
I believe
maybe they don't care. I mean,
and they may not.
We've had these.
Do you think that
I've had these conversations with some officers, and they tell me strict like, this is just a job. It's no longer I want to make a difference.
But we talked with the former head of the gang unit in Atlanta. He was in here last Friday. Has a great organization. You guys need, I mean, I don't know. He may not be your cup of tea. It's called Clippers and Cops. And he said, there's no deterrent. There is no, he grew up in one of the worst parts of St. Louis. He grew up in that terrible environment and became a cop. He's now in charge of the security for Rockwood School District. He said there is no replacement as a deterrent as having more police. And he said, yes, all of his police officer friends in St. Louis City say they don't have enough. He's like, there's nothing like seeing cops on every corner or patrolling more than they do now. Are you saying that if there's more police, that's not going to deter?
Absolutely not. Because
why is that?
If people are poor, they're going to find a way to do it. They're going to find a way to get money. They're going to find a way because it's human nature to survive. Simple as that.
And that's when people come out into the county and to other areas to commit crime because there's too many police in the city.
And that's also scary for the Black community because we see what that means. Last year alone, and that's why I say the problem with policing is not just with our community. Last year alone, we broke the record for people shot by police in this country.
Well,
it broke the record.
What about the record of shooting at police?
But I thought police.
I don't know if we broke that. I didn't do research yet, but
I thought I heard that. No, I thought I heard that, Tabitha.
I was just teasing.
I didn't research that, but
and
last year cops murdered more people.
Yeah, but
in this
think about
country
this for a second.
than any other year.
Think about this for a second. And this is where I come from. I was always afraid of the cops. I was always afraid of the cops. I didn't want to mess with them. I'm a yes sir, no sir kind of guy. I've been arrested 3 times. I was always like,
what'd you do?
Jaywalking.
I didn't pay tickets, first of all, but I had warrants that I didn't know about or whatever it was. For one warrant, he wouldn't even tell me what it was. I was like, I have no idea what this is. But I was always I was brought up and I went to the scared straight stuff and this, that, and the other. And before he could even say, put your hands behind your back, I was literally walking with my hands behind my back to him because I knew what was coming.
Right.
There comes a point in
you were raised by an officer though, right?
No, I was not. Oh, hell no.
Oh, you was.
Hell no, right. I was not raised by an officer. But why can't we take the code? Why can't criminals, what they are, look, this is part of the social contract. If a cop says put your hands behind your back, you put your hands behind your back. And we'll take care of it in court. You won't have to pay anything. You'll probably be out tonight. Just put your hands behind your back. And let's get you in the system and then prove your innocence.
We would love if it went that way as well.
I mean, I did.
But how often does it not? You know, if you break...
It's never went that way with me.
If you break... Well, you're still alive. If you break down and trust me, and I have over many years, if you go and you look at all of the officer-involved shootings, and you look at the circumstances that were involved in officer-involved shootings, 99.9% of the time, it's because someone resists arrest. And that's why more white people are killed by police. And that's because they resist arrest.
I've seen a lot of...
Even with the white death, let me ask you a question. This isn't 1800 Arabia. So resisting doesn't always mean that you should kill me. Death doesn't mean you should kill me.
But they can't just let you go.
But what about no, arrest me. But it's a way. All right. So if we're training police officers that can't detain someone who hasn't had any type of training, and you can't get control of them without shooting them, we have a problem.
Okay, but hold on.
Yeah, but you
wait,
just throw the baby with the bathwater.
No, I'm not saying that at all. But
that goes back to time.
There's some big, strong, tough people that are on some crap
but
too.
Every situation doesn't require murder, and even in the situations where we aren't resisting. For instance, Philando Castile, he wasn't resisting. The officer came over to the side of his car. He said, "Hey, I'm a legal gun owner. It's in the car. Well, get your light." The minute he reaches, bow.
But you can't reach. Even I know
the
that.
officer told him to. It's on camera.
She made a mistake.
The officer told him to.
Yeah, and it took his life. It was a female.
I might be thinking of a different case.
I thought Philando Castile was a female officer shot into the car. Thinking
yes.
I'm thinking of something.
Yeah, it was a black man. His wife was driving. He was riding passenger. that came to the passenger side.
Or maybe I thought it was a female, but
no, it was a male officer that shot him.
Yeah, I'm thinking of this.
He let
probably
them
the same
know,
case you're
hey, I'm
thinking
a
of.
legal registered gun owner. It's in the vehicle. Okay, well, reach and get your idea what the minute he moves, he shot. It's caught on camera.
I get it.
And there's many instances like that.
Yeah, one's too many. I get it. But think of the thousands and hundreds of thousands of stops that happen without incident.
Hey, can I ask you a question? We talked about, and I kind of, this is my like wheelhouse. Everybody in this room was, you or two, part of the Michael Brown story.
For sure.
Okay. It comes out later through the Obama administration.
Or more so call it the St. Louis story because
it's the Ferguson story.
It's bigger.
Oh
than
yeah,
Michael
whenever
Brown.
I talk to someone from Seattle,
Bigger
they're
than
like,
Michael
"How's
Brown.
Ferguson?" I'm like, "What do you mean, how's Ferguson?"
It's
That's
St. Louis.
all people know.
I had to let Obama know that it's St. Louis.
But-
Ferguson is just a small neighborhood in St. Louis. It's St.
So
Louis.
Obama came in, and when I heard that there was a St. Louis County cop shooting Michael Brown in the back of the head, I was like, "That is bullcrap." I almost went down and rallied with you guys. But as the story came out more and more and more, I almost did. I wasn't even in St. Louis that much back then. But when the story came out more and more and more, it turned out Darren Wilson was kind of the victim in this thing.
I disagree.
Well, the Obama administration did.
But and keep in mind,
even Eric Holder said this was not, and they did it under the cover of darkness.
President Obama did invite him too. So I just want everybody to know that. And forgive me for not saying that. I needed to jump in. T-Double was invited to the White House to meet.
But I think this is important enough. This is important enough to where it's like, we're in this situation because of a lie. Michael Brown was not a saint walking around Ferguson, Missouri. And Darren Wilson.
Nobody's a saint walking around, but that doesn't mean they deserve to die.
And Darren Wilson basically is eating a sandwich on his break, and he's saying, "Hey, whatever the interaction was, Michael Brown stuck his hand into the car, tried to get the weapon. Somehow it's discharged."
But that was alleged. We have no proof of that.
Right. But they uncovered every stone that they could to make Darren Wilson a victim.
I mean, they also took 4.5 hours while his body laid on the street to make sure they got the story and the evidence correct.
Well, that was terrible that they left they screwed up. They screwed up that fact.
But what I guess,
what is your question?
My question is this: is Michael Brown, with me being afraid of the cops, you definitely don't stick your head into a cruiser trying to get a weapon. And that's where
allegedly.
That's allegedly.
Well, it's not allegedly anymore because it's been proven.
That's where I got pissed.
Did you see the video?
You may not believe it, but I'm saying when it comes to
OJ was proven to be innocent in the court of law.
Right.
Exactly.
But again,
but we all know what really happened.
The universe would have.
I know what really happened.
The universe would have slammed into Darren Wilson if he was guilty, and no doubt about it. So my question to you is, don't you think that St. Louis shouldn't be known as this mecca of the whole Michael Brown situation? Don't you think that we're good enough people to say this was a lie? But on the converse of that, Floyd was absolutely disgusting. Get your damn knee off of this guy for 9 minutes. Get off his freaking.
Well, that's because it was caught on camera.
So me and you are in agreement when it comes to the truths of these things. I think that Floyd was absolutely justified, but the Michael Brown thing, we should not be known as the mecca of the whole movement.
I disagree there because St. Louis basically revolutionized the world. Without what we did in St. Louis and in the neighborhood of Ferguson, the George Floyd movement wouldn't have been what it was.
You mean all the people that died in protest because of George Floyd? Eric, the knee was not on George Floyd's neck.
It sure did look like
it was on his shoulder. And
well, it looked like it was on his neck.
Look at the protests and what came out of these riots. Do you know in Minneapolis,
in St. Louis,
50 people died in Minneapolis due to these riots. 50 people.
Well, not we didn't have any deaths in
1,500
protests in St. Louis.
Businesses burnt down. But in the city of St. Louis, one of the best grocery stores in the area was burned down. The 7-Eleven, which a lot of people really depended on.
You call that a grocery store?
Well, a lot of people depended to go there and get their food.
St. Louis is a food desert. I don't call it a grocery store.
It is a food desert.
It is a food desert.
I don't call it
No,
a grocery store.
it is. It's a fact.
But I think that moment was important for St. Louis.
It was detrimental to the country.
Not necessarily.
Because
it opened the floodgates for these conversations that we having now. Because without that, we wouldn't be having them.
But now look at the situation we're living in right now. I mean, we're living in a situation that's violent. The country's violent. It's given license to groups like Antifa to go raid government buildings all over the place.
When was this country violent?
This is a different level of violence. And I think that it just takes the communication out of a lot of this stuff. to me, I love St. Louis, but I think it's the most despicable thing that's ever happened to this city. And I would have been on your side if there would have been footage of Darren Wilson popping him in the back of the head 3 times. I would still be in Ferguson.
So what about all the
protesting.
beautiful things that came out of it?
Nothing.
Well, let him say, what are the beautiful things that came out of it?
Well, see, media mainly just covered the protests. They didn't see all the programs that were being created. They didn't see 10,000 people were registered within the first couple months in Ferguson, which changed the city council construct of more so to fit the demographic of their community. Getting a prosecutor that represented all shapes and creeds into the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office. Again, we started programs that were modeled in 38 cities in 3 other countries. We fed over 100,000 people in the city, giving out 100,000 books, graduated courses of tech programs for kids from the inner city, taught them how to code.
We couldn't have done that without burning down Quick Trips, and we couldn't have done that without burning down.
It took that spark to say, okay, we're tired. To say we're not going to get the help that we need from big government. We have to do it. What you just say, we the answer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
so
I
how
think
did the community answer when it comes to the Obama administration and Eric Holder? They went after Darren Wilson hard. They said we can't find anything. They said there's no, and we know, you and I speaking man to man, looking each other eye to eye. If there was an ounce of evidence to prove that he did something wrong, they would at least charged him. They didn't charge him.
I disagree.
And then Wesley Bell won that, and Wesley's a friend, and he's going to be on the show too. Wesley won in a massive upset, as you talk about.
We helped it, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. You did. And you know what? And what did he tell you guys to help get him elected?
That he was going to reopen the case.
That he was going to reopen the case.
Then he stopped answering his phone.
But guess what? He reopened the case.
He did? I didn't know that.
He reopened it. And guess what? He said, I can't find anything. He took a lot of heat for it. I was in court.
I never knew he said that.
I was in court.
I'm lying. I knew. I disagree. I disagree.
And
but
it's
when you scrub a crime scene for 4.5 hours, of course you may not find anything.
Okay, so you would say it was dirty police scrubbing the scene.
Absolutely.
And that's why there was no evidence.
My point of view. I mean, I really don't know.
But there were 2 massive investigations, though, T-Double, when it comes to that. And they couldn't find Darren Wilson guilty of anything.
I just disagree. I think on a morality level, he was wrong. That's just my point of view.
But and what's so I think important about you being here today is just that it's so great that we can get together and have these conversations. We need to have more of them.
I agree.
Eric's been advocating that since the day I met him. We have to sit down with people who have disagreeing opinions. It doesn't mean we don't like you or that you don't like us.
Absolutely.
But we will never have change until we can sit down.
Here's the deal.
But we got to let
It's like this.
He wanted to talk about 2 other issues that we need to get to.
Okay. Here's the deal. Now we'll finish, and we won't finish with this. There'll be a question. People of means love St. Louis. People of means have an affinity to St. Louis. The Cardinals, and you're one of them. Blues, Battlehawks, whatever, the Rams.
I'm still a Rams fan, by the way.
Amen, brother. And every music venue in St. Louis, I'm from the music community myself. I love St. Louis. It's my home. People of means are like, this has got, might have 2 more years here, but I can't handle it anymore. St. Louis will become a dead city. It will become East St. Louis. East St. Louis is an unthriving, unsustainable environment now.
Right.
That's coming here. How do we fix that? How do we say, businesses, please don't leave, make more amenities here, not opportunities. I'm not going to talk about criminals anymore. I'm done with that because the people of means are leaving.
Right.
It's like, you guys talk about criminals all you want. I'll be in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Right.
What is your plan to fix this? Because I don't live in St. Louis anymore, but and are you going to go storm the city hall and say, we got to fix this before we have no money, we have no economic development?
But it don't work. I think we need to overhaul the leadership, top to bottom.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Does it mean you better come in here with an economic plan
Absolutely.
And because no one is coming to St. Louis to bring their money unless it's safe.
Right.
Because no employee wants to move from San Francisco to St. Louis to start a high-tech company and if they're going to get shot outside of St. Louis. It's the true conversation that we really have to have.
Right.
And nobody wants to leave. So what do we do? Do you go to Shar and say, you're done, and take the prosecutor with you? We have got to fix this city.
While they're in office, all we can do is give them an opportunity. And if we can sit down with some political scientists and create a structure that will probably work, and we don't know what will work. We just got to keep trying. And if they're not willing to try and listen to the community voices, then we got to get them out of there and put somebody in the office that are.
Who would you like to see there? If you could wave a magic wand, seriously, would it be an Elon Musk? Would it be
Absolutely not.
Elon.
Hold on. I said a magic wand. If you could put the type of person that you could have in St. Louis, the mayor's office to really fix this thing, give me a name.
I don't think that person alive. I really don't trust politicians.
I think you would do a good job because you know what? You see what the problems are in the city. I think somebody who lives in the city and who has dealt with the city problems and who truly wants to solve them.
Amen. For mayor, you're hearing it right here live on
Well, but I mean, here's the thing. As long as there's conversations and you're willing to have those conversations because you came out here to have that conversation today, which makes 100% sense. Let's talk. We got to talk. We got to do those things that are there. And you're not against, I mean, I know you say FTP, but you've told us today you're not against police. Right. You're against the way that it's being done right now.
Correct.
And I think that's fair to say. What is the predatory policy that you wanted to talk about?
In regards to policing?
Yeah.
It's not so much of a policy, just the overall structure. And I think we covered that.
Okay. Yeah, we did. Then I just wanted to make sure. We were talking about the government issue. You said you're not happy with Tashara Jones. You said you're
I'm not.
And you said you weren't happy with Kim Gardner.
I'm not.
I think those are major freaking issues.
What about Cori Bush?
I think Cori means well.
We need more than that, don't we?
Yeah, I do. But I love Cori. Cori is for the people. She's not against having a conversation. She's not against learning and growing. And I think we need more politicians in office that way. I just feel like she needs a little bit more support in regards to get done what she wants to get done. And you got to be willing to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the biggest thing about politics. The truth is, they say it's three sides to a story, right? You got your side, you got my side, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we have to come to as a country before we can get some actual change happening.
What about suicide awareness?
So listening to you all before I came in talk about the pandemic, we started to see those numbers raise, you know, and not just in one particular community. In my community, for instance, in the Black community, I've seen, you know, depression and suicide raise tremendously, you know, over the course of the pandemic. And it actually hit home very close. After Thanksgiving, I lost 2 friends and artists that are on my label back to back in a 4-day span. It started with my producer, my head producer, Darian DT Tobert. He committed suicide. He worked for the post office, but he was also transitioning to become a full-time musician. He came aboard the label at the end of 2020. We were just trying to get him set up and ready. Working, you know, 10, 12 hours a day in the studio outside of him having, you know, a full-time job. We never knew he had a problem. He never showed any anger, any sadness. He was always happy, just wanted to work. So this one, like, it hit us hard and it struck us out of shock and it caught us by surprise. 4 days later, my artist Hills, John Hill, who's a white rapper, one of the best lyricists this city has ever produced. 4 days later, he took his life as well. And Hills has fought that demon for quite some time. You know, he fought through drug addiction at an early age, which he grew up of means, great neighborhood, great parents, went to a great school. He had, and you know, I guess one party introduced him to some things that he battled with for the rest of his life. But he was open and honest, and he talked about it, and he fought, you know, to keep his life on track. He had a wife and 2 sons. And he was doing great. He came onto the label in 2020 after taking a hiatus from music after 7 years, and he started to make his best music. We were all there to support him. He wasn't around an atmosphere that fed into his demons or you know, allowed him to relapse or go back. We supported him and we were tough on him. But I think, you know, over the course of the pandemic, he lost his job and was dealing with a lot of different issues. And when DT did it, I think it gave him all the strength, you know, to go ahead and go through with it. So that was tough. You know, I've experienced a lot in the street. You know, I've lost friends back to back before, you know, due to murder, and other situations like that. But, you know, to have two very close brothers and, you know, people that I'm building this thing with from the bottom, you know, take their own lives, like
Yeah.
it was different, you know. And I talked to everybody that I knew about it. Once, you know, the families were okay with me discussing it, and, you know, just trying to find some comfort in everybody I know, you know, we've never heard of a situation like this. So um, I really started to tap in more to that struggle. I've had my own struggles, you know. I've fought depression. I've, you know, fought suicidal thoughts. A lot of brothers I know have, you know, we're raised in a situation where, you know, coming up in any city, you got to be strong. And as a man in general, we're taught to suppress our emotions.
Yep.
You know, don't cry. You got to be tough all the time. So we come up with these emotional barriers, and it's hard to communicate that even when we get a significant other. Most men have communication issues. I see women complain about it all the time. My woman complains about it all the time. I'm still trying to fight and get through that, but we're raised that way.
Yeah.
So I think some people, you know, it becomes real heavy. Ultimately, in some instances in our communities where we do see crime, 9 times out of 10, somebody who's been carrying and harboring all this pain and stress, and they just snap out one day.
Yeah.
So what I want to start to shift a lot of my focus in regards to providing support for that, being a support for people who are dealing with these issues. And that was one of the biggest things about this album, you know, talking about these issues and, you know, explaining that you can get through no matter what these situations are. Tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah.
You know, and if you need the support, you know, a support out there. If I can be a support to anybody, you know, I'm an ear, I'm a resource. I don't want to deal with this again. And I don't want anybody else to deal with it again. You know, so however I can, you know, be here more for my brothers and my family and, you know, my friends or anybody in the community, I'm here, you know, because that was one of the most painful times in my life. And especially just getting over, you know, I was grieving for my grandmother. I lost my grandmother over summer, who was one of the most influential people in my life. And right after that, I lost my aunt, who was like a second mom to me in Tennessee. And I spent every summer down there with her. So 2022 was just a very turbulent year. But to top it off like that, you know, it was tough.
Yeah.
But I hear them right here with me saying, don't be a baby.
I'm right there with you,
don't
man.
be a baby, man. So,
it's the one thing that keeps us all together, believe it or not. We're all going to meet our maker, and
for sure.
And suicide is one of the most tragic things that you can deal with. And if you can help somebody, man, call the suicide hotline immediately, because they're really good. It's a really good
or
organization.
just be an ear.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
you'd be surprised what that would do for somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
And they have that new line. What is it? 888?
Yes, you're
You can dial
close. You're
888.
actually close. It's 888. Good job.
I thought so. But you know, I'm glad you brought that up. I know we don't have time to get into it, but it's a part of maybe the inner city of poverty that so many of us don't see or think about. Is just that. How many people
the trauma, the stress of it.
that are under stress and under the trauma and probably feel like they have no way out. And it never even occurred to me that suicide might be something they think about.
Suicide. I mean, self medication. That's why you see so many, you know, drug problems in the inner city, right along with poverty. You know, people just trying to medicate the pain and trauma away. I mean, you see it with alcohol, you see it with marijuana, you see it with everything. People try to do so many different things to escape the trauma. My escape is the studio. You know, thank God I found something, a very expensive escape, but it helps. You know, it's basically my therapy in a sense. So, like I said, you know, if everybody is listening, if you can be an ear, you never check on check on your strong friends. That's the most important thing, because the people that you feel like are the strongest, those are the ones who need your support the most.
I feel like they carry a lot too.
That's exactly
and
right.
that's where
Because they helping everybody else. They're a shoulder for everybody.
Yep.
But who heals the healers?
Hey, T-Dub, we appreciate T-Dubbo. Appreciate you coming in, man. We may not agree on everything, but there's a lot
We're
more.
damn close.
For sure.
We're damn close.
Unless you're a really good actor, and you're not.
No, I'm a terrible actor. I'm going to take some classes, though, for sure.
You're straightforward with stuff, which is how it needs. See, that's the best way. Straightforward, black and white.
I think you are the solution. And I think that Tashara has a lot to fear with people like you, because
Tashara don't like me at all. that's out there. We
Good.
know.
But
Good. More
that
That
power
means
to
you're on
you,
the right
man.
side of that
Yeah,
But
equation.
here's what I mean. But as we say goodbye to there's got to be a way to get more people to vote. Then, man, if you still live in the city, when you're talking about 28% going out to vote for mayor, that ain't going to cut it.
Oh, we get into it.
I mean,
We get into it. We got
Good.
some stuff coming for the next couple of elections. One thing what I've done on the north side of St. Louis, real quick, we've given a community of people who have absolutely no political buy-in, and we politicize them in a way that we can utilize that the proper way. So we working on it. We working on it.
I appreciate it. T-Double, thanks, man.
And it's 988.
9.
It's
Yeah, thank you,
988.
Tabitha.
Anyone needs
Tabitha.
help? 988.
I gotcha.
Hey, T-Double, we appreciate you, man, so
For sure.
much. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank
People
you.
can check out his music. Check him out. T-Dub-O, that is T-D-U-B-B-O.
Soon it'll all be over. The album is out now. 3/18, March 18th, we'll be at the Oz for the album release show.
Nice.
Love it. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Hey, can we take a picture of you before you take off? We'll catch you outside the studio. We're gonna see that's what it's about, man.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
Okay.
great conversation. Agree to disagree on some things.
What did we
agree on others.
disagree on? I mean, my God, it's
Well, we
it's like-
disagree.
it's tactics
I
more than
can't
anything
agree
else.
with him saying FTP. Come on,
It's tactics, man, and I get
it
it.
is tactics,
But
but young people hear that or see that.
Can I add something in before we get too far? I know we got to go. We need to introduce him to Ty. And the reason why
We will.
is because Ty wants to talk to people like him about how traffic stops should take place.
It's a
If you're-
great point.
If you remember that.
All right, we appreciate Dr. Mahesh Bagwe, who came in today, T-Dub-O, Scott Gherkin, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. We got Kathy Helbig Strick tomorrow. Is it barn dominium time?
I won't bring it
We
up.
talk about a barn. You should have asked T-Dub-O about a barn dominium.
I won't bring it up. You guys already.
That sounds like a reality show. T-Dub-O and you, barn dominium.
T-Double and the Barnuminium searchers. I like it. It's
All
my
right,
new
we're out of here.
Travel channel.
Cancelthisshow.com, cancelthisshow.com. Have a great day. Of Exotic Services is St. Louis's first concierge vehicle service center. Alex David's team is passionate, certified technicians. They have industry-leading tools and equipment. They do it all. They pick up and deliver your car hands-free. Plus, they have elite detailing service, customized PPF wraps and tinting, and inspection and titling assistance. White Glove also specializes in logistics and storing options, vehicle listings, and consignment. White Glove Exotic Services. Check them out at cancelthisshow.com. Kathy Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road.